light of the
Go,
goat.
baby.
Hey. Sunshine on me. Sunshine on me. Hey, it's a rain. It go come. You can't run. The sunshine on me. Let it shine on me. Hey, still put down in the bottle. Just for the old days, I go and spend every dollar. Grandma just needed a doctor. I try to fix everything cause I know I'm the product. It really ain't that many options. You got it or don't, or just know a person who got it. You try to get rich for they bury your body. He driving the limit, he want a Bugatti. Can't go to the block cause it hot as a tie. Get caught over here and they try to demolish. Capital One, like what's in your pocket. He just put a shiesty mask on his noggin. You know what that mean, it's time for robbing. That switch ain't from granted, that one for a car. He horse Ralph Lawrence, he want a Ferrari. He live for today, he ain't sure for tomorrow. The sunshine on me. Sunshine on me. Hey, it's a rain. It go come. You can't run. The sunshine on me. Let it shine on me. Hey, still hit the block in the hood. Just for a Cartier, he'll go stand in the woods. He really just needed a push. Switch on the back of the gun, he ain't come off a bush. Before he go 6 feet, gotta be up. He dreaming about Hellcat robbers and stuff. To tell you the truth, he'll rob you for one with a Nike 10 face, man. How about you dumping? Your pockets on stick, man, hungry for crumbs. My diamonds still hit, I ain't up in the sun. If you cut off my finger, just leave me my thumb. I'ma find a way to count up me some money. He only got one shot, probably go done. I'm a young black millionaire, come out the country. Got diamonds on me in my pocket, your money. All the green in the spot, you would think it's a jungle. The sunshine on me. Sunshine on me. Hey, it's a rain. It go come. You can't run. The sunshine on me. Let it shine on me. Hey.
I want to talk to you today about the right people. Who you spend your time with will have a great impact on what kind of life you live. There are people God has already ordained to come across our path to help us fulfill our destiny. People that inspire us, challenge us, make us better. The right people have already been lined up. But here's the key. If you're spending time with the wrong people, you'll never meet the right ones. If you're hanging around people that are not going anyplace, people that are dragging you down, causing you to compromise, draining your energy, then you're going to get stuck. You can't hang out with chickens and expect to soar with eagles. You're going to become like the people you continually associate with. You want to know what you're going to be like in 5 years? Look at your friends. If your friends are going places, have a spirit of excellence, kind, generous, courteous, then those qualities are going to rub off on you.
Gotta get these blessings, so tired of stressing, learning new lessons, plenty questions. It's time for testing, never ever resting. I'ma stay grinding, so I stay shining like a diamond. I'ma stay climbing to the next level in due timing. Trying to line up with them bosses, trying to soar high with them eagles. Can't chill with none of you chickens. I'm trying to get rich with my people. Too high to see you haters, too blessed to pay y'all mine. I ain't got nothing to be mad at. I'm drop head, top down, thanking God all the time for helping me live my dreams and for exposing all of those who wasn't right for my team. I'ma keep receiving this game. If it's for the better, I'll change. Only live once, better do it right. I'm trying to leave a legacy, man.
Complainers find other complainers. That's the saying, birds of a feather flock together. My challenge is simple. Make sure you're flocking to the right group. Victorious people associate with other victorious people. Winners hang out with winners. Happy people hang around other happy people. Eagles soar with other eagles. We don't like change. We want it to be just like it was when we were hanging out, growing up together. But it's a new day. You have children, you have parents to take care of, you have more responsibility.
It's a new day, I got kids to feed. Plus I got needs, understand that please. Before you try to blame me about being greedy, I'm just trying to be all I can be. You should have stayed down instead of knocking me. Now you're on the sideline watching me, feeling like I'm where you supposed to be. Mad cause you ain't see what I see. I put God first and went guided. See, I came in the game focused. You was playing games in the project. Got tired of being at the bottom, trying to take my family to the top. Only want to work with them winners and keep raising up my stock. You still posted on the same block, trying to move work out the same spot. Treating jail like it's in and out, and every time you get out, you got your hand out. I don't know what you knew, playing by, but it ain't working if you're still hurting. No more excuses, no more complaining, just praying hard with hard working.
But just because somebody is related to you doesn't mean they're connected to you. They may have your blood, but they don't have your spirit. They may not have heard the call God put on your life. And this doesn't make them a bad person. It just means God has a different assignment for them. Maybe they're at a different level in their growth, but they're not right for you for this season. This is one of the hardest things we have to deal with, letting go of people that are not supposed to be in our lives.
Can't let you slow me down, can't let you slow me down. Can't let you hold me down, can't let you hold me down. If you ain't trying to get better, better move around. If you ain't helping, you hurting, I'm trying to chase that crime. I pray for success, I pray that you're blessed. I pray for your best, but all the stress that you brought in my life, I lost all respect. We family, so it's all good. I ain't tripping, I still speak, but the trust has been broken. Ain't no more working with me. Being by myself, I'm at peace. I'm too old to be out in these streets. I gotta take care of my kids. I ain't got time to have beef. I just got time to do me and see what's next out there for me to see. I ain't trying to block my blessings, so I listen to God when he speaks.
Bottom line, don't hold on to what God is asking you to walk away from. Another thought, you shouldn't spend a lot of time with people that are always negative, people that are constantly discouraged. You got to keep them cheered up, keep them fixed. And I'm all for helping people. I'm all for being a blessing. Sometimes we have to love people back into wholeness. But if you're always giving and never receiving, that's an unhealthy relationship. You need to gradually make a change.
Halito. Good morning. What's happening with everybody? Bones, I dropped the link in the chat for you in case you want to come up and join the panel for this live. It's only for you. I wanted to address some things. I'm at home now. I just got off work, and before I lay down and rest, I wanted to address some things from yesterday. I couldn't address it how I wanted to because I was at work. Okay, there go my brother Bones. Good morning to you, tribe. What's happening with you? How you feeling? You good, Bones?
Oh yeah, good. I feel. Listen, I got up feeling so energetic after last night.
Me too. I ain't listen. I was just listening back to it too. Brother, listen, man. I'm so proud of us, man. And you were so right when you were talking about the distractions, man. The distractions on our people, man, and this information, man. The tide is shifting, man. The tide is shifting, and they see it and they can't stand it. So yeah, bro. Like, if you can hang out, I got a couple videos I'm gonna play. And you know how we do. If you need me to stop it for any interjection, you just let me know and I'll stop it. Okay.
Yeah, No problem. Like I
I,
said, I'm here with my whole family, so yeah, we good. They listened to it last night. They had a ball.
okay, cool. So what I wanted to do was clear up some things. Okay, it's being said that the the civil rights movement of 1968, it was for all of I mean, okay, so you'll get it when I show the video because I explained it in the video. Okay, I get it. Dr. King was fighting for everybody. We get that. But when we're talking about that 1968 Civil Rights Act, which was nicknamed, it had plenty nicknames. It had a lot of nicknames. But one of the nicknames it didn't have was the everybody. It wasn't named the Everybody Civil Rights Act. It wasn't named the African American Civil Rights Act. It wasn't named the Black Civil Rights Act. It wasn't named the Native American Civil Rights Act. It was specifically named the Indian Civil Rights Act. Okay. And like Bones was explaining, this is the terms that are politically that we use for political recognition. All right. Halito Slim, what's up, Cuzzo? So I wanted to show what I wanted to do. I had put a video together a while back. I wanted to show the difference between the 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act and the AIM movement, which came after Dr. King's death. That's what I was trying to explain yesterday. These were two separate fights, though they were kind of fighting for the same thing, basically. It was a hijack. It was basically a hijack after Dr. King's death, where they were trying to use what we just fought for. So they went and created the AIM movement. Since we got people talking about us stealing stuff, they went and created the AIM movement like only 4 months after Dr. King's death. All right. So I'm going to play this video. It's about 18 minutes. And like I said, Bones, if you need to stop and interject some things, to speak on some things, let's get some clarity on what was going on. Let's get some clarity on what was going on in that 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act. All right, let's get a little clarity what was going on with the AIM movement, which came 4 months after. It came 4 months after King's death. After they created it after, you guys. Let's let that sink in. It came
and real quick, what everybody keep forgetting, that AIM movement was dealing with Indians over on the West Coast.
Yeah.
That's why they took over Alcatraz. That's the West Coast.
Right. And I keep telling y'all where our story took place, okay? Where your people was over on this side of town. The AIM movement took place over on that side of town, on the west side. All right. Now, I'm asking y'all to tell me if the AIM story resonates with the stories you've heard from your family members, your own blood, the people who were in the civil rights. Does the AIM story match up to what your people have ever told you? Or does the Indian Civil Rights Act of where our people was fighting for over here in the Southeast, does that resonate more with you and your story of who you are on this land? All right. So again, we got people saying we're stealing people's culture, yet they were nowhere in the fight with us, nowhere to be found during the fight. So let's get into this video. Because I got to take my ass to sleep, man. I just walked through the door, but I just feel it's very important that we get some clarity on these two movements and to show that they were not the same movements. Yes, we do know Dr. King did work with the Native Americans. We do know that. That's not that. We're not debating that at all. We're not debating that he did meet up with the Native Americans, and he did try to help them with some things. Let me go on record. I'm on record telling y'all, we are not denying that Dr. King did do some work with the Native Americans. Matter of fact, that's how strong we were on this land, that the Native Americans had to reach out to our leader. Let that sink in. The Native Americans had to reach out to our leader for help on this land. But y'all say that they're the original people of the land. Y'all tell us that they're the real people of the land. Elder, how you doing, Elder? Much love to you checking in. Renita, what's happening with you? Knowledge Seeker, what's happening with you? Black Indian Immigrated, what's happening with you? So let that sink in, that the Native Americans, not only did they create the AIM movement after our leader's death, they also, when they needed help, had to reach out to our leader for their help. But y'all say that they're the people of the land. Let that sink in.
Which is funny though, Callie. And we mentioned it last night, that if these were the people that was teaching everybody, how did our people end up doing it? Teaching everybody how to farm, how to grow, how to build here. I mean, history shows this, that we were the ones that built it.
Right. And they had to go to these schools. They had to go to these schools to be taught how to be Indians. Let that sink in. Those schools exist. They had to be taught how to farm this land. But y'all say they're from this land. They're indigenous. How did we teach them to farm the land if they're the indigenous people? And we're stealing from them. We're stealing from them, Bones. But we're teaching them how to farm. Aboriginal power. What's happening? Good morning to you, brother. I'm gonna drop the link if you want to join too, brother. We had a time last night, brother. We had a time in here last night. I don't know if you got time, if you want to come up and speak a little bit, but you are more than welcome, brother. You are more than welcome. If not, I'm gonna start this video in a second. But let's
Peace, Aboriginal power.
Yes. Our brother Aboriginal Power, AP checking in. Let's just let some things sink in, you guys. Okay, we had to teach them in these schools. These schools did exist. They did exist. This is nothing we're making up. These Indian schools, they existed. Okay.
And you know what's even more funnier? Since you mentioned the Indian schools, if people research and look up, these schools tell you what their purpose was and what they did.
Definitely.
They trained the children.
Definitely.
They sent some back to the community, and they sent others into politics. Now you have to show me these people that came from these schools that went into politics and became community leaders. I see a bunch of them that look like me and you.
Yes. Definitely. So let's deal with this. Let's deal with this AIM movement first. Okay. So, like I said, Bones, if you need me to pause it and you want to interject, just let me know. Say, hey, hit the pause it right quick. Let me interject right there. But let's deal with this AIM movement. All right. So I'm gonna start the video. Let's start here first.
What's happening, everybody? This your boy Chief Cali checking in for our story, Season 1, 1968, the Indian Civil Rights Act. Check this out, man. So as we get ready for the docuseries, I've been hit with some concerns. Some people have hit me up, and they wanted me to take a look at the 1968 AIM. I believe it's the Civil Rights Act or whatever. So let's talk about that, okay? Now, see, this is exactly why we're doing this docuseries.
Now, pay attention. The AIM movement also happened in 68. That's where this is where they try to insert themselves into your story. And if you don't know, you don't know. You'll let them insert themselves. When we talking about the Indian Civil Rights Act, the Native Americans will try to insert themselves because they created the AIM Act after that. But if you don't know, these are two separate situations, you'll allow them to claim the Indian Civil Rights Act.
So you'll be able to understand the difference between the Native American Indians and the American Indians, okay? You'll be able to understand their struggle and our struggle, okay? You'll be able to understand that these are two different groups of people with two different cultures and two different histories, okay? So this is the reason we're doing this docuseries, and we're doing it very basic. We're asking very basic questions, and we're giving you very basic information because a lot of us don't know this information, okay? A lot of us still today, when they hear Indian, they associate us with the Native American Indians that they see in the Hollywood movies, the cowboy Indian movies, the Asian looking people, the people that come from Siberia, Mongolia, China, over that way, that came through Alaska into America. Those people, the people who were with the circus, they were entertainment Indians. So when you see those pictures of them on the horses and stuff, they were with the circus. Those were circus pictures, okay?
Just a few years after Bighorn, American scout, buffalo hunter, and showman Buffalo Bill Cody founds his Wild West show, an extravagant touring pageant of all things Western. He had been eyeing the opportunity since the battle occurred.
Ladies and gentlemen, Buffalo Bill's Wild West.
Racing horses, roping, riding, shooting, all of these things were part of the show.
The performance of Custer's Last Stand is a highlight.
Yo, so what I want y'all to understand, those Indians out west with the teepees, this is a part of their culture. This is actually a part of their culture. So when people are talking about we're stealing from them, this is a part of their culture.
And real quick, Kelly, we have to stop this thing to where people think all tribes lived the same and did the same thing. No, they didn't. All tribes got their own separate traditions and customs. Each tribe's story is different.
Big facts, big facts. So what I'm showing y'all is the difference in the cultures of what we did and what they did. So I'm showing you what they were doing. All right. So these people were definitely moving around in the circus. They were entertainment Indians.
Before cinema or television, the Wild West brings history alive.
Montana is pretty remote, and most people will never step foot on that land.
Montana. Listen to where these people are at.
And also to add on, if you know the Indian War history, they're talking about the West, but we're talking about the Indians on the East, our family.
This is what I mean when I say they do have a story on this land. It just ain't ours. But because they are ran by the government, and the government is trying to run you off the land and make you think you're not who you are, they always incorporate their visual into even your East Coast stories. So when you hear about these Indians over here or these indigenous people over here on the East, in the Southeast, in these areas, they're going to always put these people faces on your story.
And it's no different than what you see today with the so-called misnomer African American. Don't they put an image on how they predict all of us to act and be and talk? It's no different.
No difference. No difference. So let me get on into this. We're gonna get into this AIM Act of 1968 with the Native Americans.
But then you're sitting in an arena and you're attending a show. And here it is in front of you, and the guns and the noise and the
Pause it real quick,
dust,
Callie.
and it's all there.
And also remember, there is no TVs at this time.
Right.
There are no movies. There's no internet.
Right.
So the only way people at this time are seeing what they think an Indian is through these shows out west.
Facts. So
this is
where you're
entertainment
getting
for
your
the time.
from. Yes. This is where you're getting your visual of the Indian from this entertainment. This is why when you think Indian, you think of these people, because this is what you were fed to think the Indian looks like. So yes, like this was the entertainment back there. There's no television during this time. But ask yourself, how many of your family members told y'all about your grandparents and them in the circus?
And a lot of these people at this time are not indigenous. They're paid actors.
Paid actors. Oh, and I think they mentioned that. I think they mentioned that. They might mention that. I ain't seen this video in a while, but I just want to show the people the difference between the 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act versus the 1968 American Indian movement. Two different situations.
Curiously, the biggest draw is the real-life Native Americans performing in the show.
When American Indians are seen as a threat, they're depicted as savages, of course, and there's something that's fearful. Once they've become domesticated, they become an item of nostalgia.
For the Indians, the show represents a chance to escape reservation life. Records show that Cody paid his performers well. The Wild West starts out with 36 Pawnee performers, but shifts focus to Sioux from the Pine Ridge Reservation, eventually employing 100 at a time.
He just said they were paid actors. This is how they got off the reservations. This is how they were entertainment. And we're stealing what? What are we stealing? This ain't our story.
This is nothing but the creation of the commercialized Indian.
Facts. This ain't our story. What are we stealing?
The Wild West shows offered Native people suffering under these pressures of assimilation an outlet, an ability to travel, an ability to perform.
Hey, American Indian movement, okay? Let's calm down and let's focus on us, okay? All right? Let's calm down and let's focus on the American Indian, okay? The American Indian, okay?
This is a whole different situation right here. This is a whole different. Hold on, y'all. I don't know why I can't.
Let's calm down and let's focus on the American Indian, okay?
This is a whole different situation right here. This is not the AIM movement. This is happening before the AIM movement of 68 by the Native Americans. This is happening before that was ever created. These were not the same fights for the same people.
Callie, hold on 1 second. I'm glad you're on the computer. We got it on the screen. What this said this act was about, an act prescribed certain with penalties for certain acts of violence or intimidation and for other purposes. And remember last night, the reason why this had to be done because they terminated the tribes in 1953. There was no more federal protection.
They took away the federal protection. So this was definitely about us. Come on, y'all.
American Indian, okay? So the AIM movement ain't had nothing to do with us. That ain't us. That's them. That's their struggle.
The American Indian Movement was founded in 1968 in Minnesota by Dennis Banks, George Mitchell, Clyde Bellecourt, and many others. The goal of AIM was to better protect and care for Native American people, as well as lending a hand to Native Americans who have been displaced and treated unfairly by the government.
Now, here's the crazy part about, if you listen to what she's saying, if you realize who you are on the land, right? They're saying Native American. If you replace Native American with American Indian, right? Listen to what they were fighting for. And remember, this was created after King's assassination. Now, if you remove Native American and add in American Indian, listen to the hijack.
In a hand to Native Americans who have been displaced and treated unfairly by the government. Since its foundation, the group has led numerous protests, employment programs, and founded reservation communities.
In the early morning hours of November 20th, 1969, 79 American Indians, including students, married couples, and 6 children, set out to occupy Alcatraz Island. Alcatraz had been dormant for 6 years since the Bureau of Prisons closed the penitentiary. No one had come forward with a feasible plan for using Alcatraz, so American Indian activists decided to seize the island shortly before Thanksgiving and claim it as Indian land. This internationally publicized political protest was done to focus attention on the plight of American Indians. Indian unity was a key focus of the Indian movement, and there were plans to establish an American Indian cultural center on Alcatraz. For 18 months, American Indians and their families lived on the island. However, public interest in the occupation waned and order among those living on the island began to deteriorate. By late May, the government had cut off all electrical power and telephone service to the island. In June, a fire of disputed origin destroyed numerous buildings on the island. Left without power, fresh water, and in the face of diminishing public support and sympathy, the number of occupiers began to dwindle. On June 11, 1971, a large force of government officers removed the remaining 70 people from the island.
Let's pause there. Are y'all following me here? This story we just heard takes place out west at an empty, abandoned prison called Alcatraz. I believe it was in San Francisco. How many of your people told you about them trying to take over a prison in San Francisco? Whose oral history? Whose grandmama them told them about that? Probably none of y'all in this chat, because that wasn't your fight. That was their fight.
And again, this is the story of people living on the West Coast, the Northwest. Yeah. We're talking about the story of the East Coast Indians again, our family.
Big facts. This is what I'm telling y'all. Pay attention. This is their story out west. These are the TP Indians. This is their story out west. This is not our story in the South and Southeast, East Coast, Northeast. This is not our story. I just let that sink in. But guess what? When they talk about your story on the East Coast, they'll put those people from the West Coast, from the West, out West, they'll put their visual. They'll whitewash you with their pictures on your East Coast story. Just like they're trying to. We don't incorporate ourselves into the AIM movement. Why? Because that wasn't our story. It wasn't our fight. But guess what they try to do? They try to incorporate themselves into your 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act movement. Shout out to my cousin Ken Dog checking in. Shout out to Copper, Miss Parker checking in here. My sister Renita up in here. Shout out to y'all this early morning. Real one is up in here also. Shout out to all of y'all. This is new me, Chris Jackson. What's happening with y'all? So what I'm trying to show y'all right now is this has nothing to do with the 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act that Dr. King was leading. He's not even in the videos. He's not even in the talk. Do y'all notice King is not even involved in none of this? Have y'all heard King? They said it was organized by four other people. That wasn't even
This was a fight
melanated.
going on. This was a fight that was going on in Minnesota.
Yes. This has nothing to do with your 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act, your Fair Housing Act. This has nothing to do with that. This stuff came after King's assassination. I told you the whole world was watching our fight. We inspired other minority groups to stand up and fight like we did. This had nothing to do. This story alone, you heard, the lady is telling you how it was created by 4 Native Americans out west. This happened in Minnesota, and their fight took place out west at an Alcatraz empty prison. Niggas ain't even trying to think about being near a prison. That's not our story, y'all. But because it happened in 68 also, it's the hijack, you guys. They tried to, after King's assassination, they tried to hijack this whole situation, the Indian Civil Rights Act, and make it seem like it was about them. But if you don't know, you don't know.
So the AIM movement ain't had nothing to do with us. That ain't us. That's them. That's their struggle. Okay? Now, this is why we got to get these terms understood, because a lot of times you'll hear the Native Americans say that us, the American Indians, are stealing their identity on this land. Okay? This is what they'll tell people, that we're stealing their identity on this land, when the American Indian has said, we have always been here, okay? We have always, our roots are here in America. We've always been here. But the Native American Indians came from somewhere to here, okay? So we're gonna dig into all of this in the docuseries, trust me. There's some questions that's gotta be answered. So I don't want y'all to get focused on what they got going on. The 1968 AIM situation, that was the Native American Indians. That was their struggle. This is why you don't see us in their pictures and in their videos and in their situation with the president and all of that. You don't see us in their AIMs, protests and marches and videos and pictures in their fight. It's the same reason you don't see them in our pictures. The Indian Civil Rights Act, 1968. You don't see them in our pictures, in our videos, in the picture, in the video at the signing with the president, when he said the Negro no longer has to go through this humiliation.
And now the Negro families no longer suffer the humiliation of being.
Now, for the people that keep saying this wasn't about us, what is the president talking about at that 68 signing? Who is he talking to? Who's the Negro?
And now the Negro families no longer suffer the humiliation of being turned.
Native Americans are not referred to as Negroes. Who's the Negro? This is the signing. This is the president speaking at the 1968 signing. Who's the Negroes? If this wasn't about us, this is the president as he's getting ready to sign the bill. Who is he talking about when he speaks of the Negro? If you want to tell us this wasn't about us. He didn't say that. And now the Native Americans no longer have to go through this. Why? Because this was our fight. The Native Americans fight didn't come until after King's death. This is why when you see at the signing, you see Negroes. You see our people at this signing. And he's specifically pointing out the Negro. He's talking about the Fair Housing Act of 1968. That's what he's talking about right now. That's what he's speaking about. So when you say this wasn't about us, who's the Negro? Who are those Indians? This was the Indian Civil Rights Act. I'm just trying to keep repeating this so you understand who the Negro of North America, who the Indian, reclassified Indian Negro of North America is.
And to add this on to it real quick, Callie, is when you research these time periods, you have to use the definitions of this era, if you understand what I'm saying. Because at this time, certain words have different meaning in law. So you can't use the definition in 2025 of certain terms in 1968. That's why when you look at these books, they have a glossary in the back so you can see what the words mean pertaining to the subject matter. It's just like the handbook for my refrigerator. The definitions in there are going to be completely different on how we use words, if you understand what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
So when it comes into law, you have to look at what the definitions are pertaining to that word in law. And then once you do that, you'll realize who they're really talking about, because the definition is going to tell you.
And the crazy part is you're going to have these so-called pro-black niggas who's still going to try to associate the Negro with Africa. Like, even though they're fighting for Indian civil rights, they're still going to say, well, the Negro was the African. Like, this is what Bones was talking about the distraction shit. Like, you just got to make it make sense. If your elders were saying that they were Indian, and if your elders was out here marching, you don't think your elders out here knew they were marching for Indian civil rights? You don't think they had the conversation of what they were fighting for? Y'all don't think
But Callie, wasn't the American Indian considered the Negro?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is, y'all can't possibly think they nicknamed this shit these names, and the people that was out there fighting for this stuff, y'all can't possibly think there wasn't a conversation with the people to tell them what we're fighting for and who we're fighting for. Yeah. Hey, y'all, we a bunch of Africans, but we want to fight for some Indian shit, though. Y'all cool with that? Y'all African ass niggas, y'all cool with fighting for some Indian shit? Am I making sense here? Hey, I know we from West Africa, but let's go fight for some Indian shit in America. Y'all cool with that? Yeah. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. You mean nobody stood up and say, hey, but we African though. We don't want to fight for some Africans. Y'all don't think nobody? Come on, man.
But even when you look at it like this, they tell you about the Trail of Tears, right?
Right.
So the Trail of Tears tell you not all the families left, right?
Facts.
Some went, some stayed, right?
Facts.
So where are the descendants of these families that stayed? I'll wait.
Where's the descendants? Where's the descendants? Come on, Bones. At the signing with the president, when he said the Negro no longer has to go through this humiliation.
And now the Negro families no longer suffer the humiliation of being turned away because of their race.
Shout out to D. Adams and Sylvia checking in. Shout out to y'all. And D. Adams, that's the whole thing. Hey, at this point, you got to make it make sense to yourself, okay? I know what we've been taught. I know what people, I know the agendas that's been pushed to make us to program us to believe things a certain way. But now it's 2025. Make it make sense to yourself. That's all what I'm putting up here on the screen is so basic. It's so basic. It's not hard. It's not deep. It's not over your head.
But when Callie, check this out.
Mm-hmm.
Check this one out. Did he not just say the Negro, right?
A Negro.
But when you open up the actual act and read it,
mm-hmm.
it addresses the American Indian. He's telling you who's the Indian is. Because in federal policy, when you open up the 1968 Civil Rights Bill, the American Indian Civil Rights Act, it's titled to Indians.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's so simple. Just look it up. People just have to look it up and read it for themselves. Then you have to ask yourself. They're saying Negro, Negro, Negro.
Negro, 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 Negro.
And the federal government classified these rights and these policies towards the American Indian. The federal government been telling you. You just have to look and read it for yourself.
Man, like it's just so frustrating when This is why I wanted to show this video. I got another video I'm gonna play after this, but this is why I wanted to show this video, okay? Because I wanted y'all to understand. Don't let somebody tell y'all this fight wasn't your fight. This is why your people was out there getting ate up by dogs and hung, and the reclassification act, racial integrity act, where they said you couldn't be Indian. Like, this is why this was going on. This is why you had the 1950 tribe termination act, all of these things. They were trying to discourage you from who you are and push you off the land, while at the same time, the benefits that belong to you, they're giving them to imposters, and then the white folks, they're joining the imposter tribes, and basically the benefits they're supposed to be giving you, they're giving back to themselves.
And remember, hold on real quick. And remember, what did King say? Go back and listen to what he said. They took land from the Negro.
Mm-hmm.
They built land grant colleges on our land.
Mm-hmm.
Schools to teach them how to farm, how to mechanize the farms here. Who did this? In policy, and even in history, they tell you the American Indians taught them. So now when you look in federal policy and you see who taught them and who got misplaced through this, who do you see?
Facts, man. Facts. Who do you see in front of your face? In front of your face. And I keep telling y'all, I keep stressing this. This is why I keep asking, what was our elders talking about back then when they said they were Indian? Remember, you got to get out your head that the Indian looked like them people that Hollywood showed you, that the circus showed you. You have to get that visual out of your head. The Indian look just like look right now.
How many people from this time who had U.S. identification that identified them as Indian? We talking from Chuck Berry, Tina Turner,
Facts.
Red Fox.
These people told you who they were. They told you we Indians. The elders, our elders. Yeah, man, y'all got to make it make sense, man. Like, when did you become an African? When? Come on, man.
Of their race.
We were fighting for Fair Housing Act in 1968, public Indian housing. This had nothing to do with those Indians, the entertainment Indians on the reservations that's federally regulated by the government. It had nothing to do with them. They're on the reservation. We were dealing with the Fair Housing Act of 1968, public Indian housing. We were fighting for that. So when they had the signing, when President Johnson had the signing of the act, look at the video. You see no Native Americans present. Why?
And pause real quick.
not their situation.
And also remember, all Indians who stayed in U.S. territory by default became U.S. citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Where did their descendants go?
Come on, man. Ah. Like Bones, come on, man. It's 2025, y'all. It's 2025. Come on, man.
The Indian Civil Rights Act was dealing with our people. And once we start to realize that and start to use common sense and start connecting these dots, we have to ask ourselves, what was King talking about when he said the Negro finds himself in exile in his own land? The Negro. Who's the Negro? The Negro is the American Indian reclassified to colored, to Negro, to black, to African American. Okay? So if we have any children watching this video or run across this video, keep that in mind. The American Indian was reclassified to colored people, black people, Negroes, niggers, African Americans, okay? Now you'll have the Native Americans try to slide their way into our history, and they'll try to put their face on our history. So this is what I want y'all, especially our youth, to keep in mind as we go through this docuseries and as you hear information dealing with the American Indian of this land. Pay attention to definitions. American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applies to the descendants of Europeans born in America. 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Pay attention to descriptions. Oxford English Dictionary, nigger, a dark-skinned person of any origin in early U.S., usually with reference to American Indians. Pay attention to geographical information about your people. Cornbread is a quick bread made with cornmeal, associated with the cuisines of southern United States with origins in Native American cuisine. You will not find a strong presence of the Native American Indians in the South, the Southeast, anywhere up the East Coast, in the Midwest. I'm not saying they're not there. I'm just saying they don't have a strong presence.
I'm not saying they're not there. I'm not saying they're not there. They wasn't there. I'm saying there wasn't a strong enough. They didn't overpower us in this area. They were not a stronger presence of them in our area. So don't let nobody go back and say, oh, he said there wasn't no Native Americans over in Virginia, and it wasn't no Native Americans in the East. No, I said there was not a strong presence of them. They didn't overpower our presence.
And the problem comes in again, Callie, when they're using the term Native American, they're using the common definition of it. But you can't do that. You have to use the definition of Native American at that time. It's just like how you showed the definition in the 1826 Webster's Dictionary of what American meant then, right? So we know before then, American had a different meaning.
Right.
Even now, American does not mean the same thing that it meant
back then
in 1826. But to understand the context of the laws and what they were saying, you have to use the definitions of that time.
Their strong presence would be in the Northwest, all the way to the West. Remember, they came through Alaska into America.
Now, this may be a little dated information during the time when I was putting this docuseries together. When I talk, the more I talk to Bones, and he explains this situation about the whole Bering Strait thing or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So when you hear me saying this, remember this was a few years back when I did this.
It's also the story, but it's also the story that they try to tell you. Right. It's like how you said before. You always hear out of the Outer Africa theory, but that's not the only theory.
That's right.
There's several different human origin theories that get debated, but they only tell you about one because that's all the information they ever heard. They gravitated to it. A lot of them went to these HBCUs that taught them to it, and that's what's burnt into them. Remember, the HBCUs were Indian schools. They was to teach Indians at one time how to be a European Indian. And now they became schools to teach these Indians how to be African Americans.
That's your HBCUs for you.
So it makes sense that they would be out that way, right? They're like in Dakota and Iowa and Idaho and all of them areas. So pay close attention to the fact that you don't find the American Indian, a strong presence of the American Indian in the Northwest, okay? That's totally their area. They're in those plains. They're out there.
And again, it's not to say that you won't see some niggas out there. We just don't have a strong presence in those areas where they're at. The same way they don't have a strong presence in Cleveland, Ohio. They don't have a strong presence in Washington, D.C. They don't have a strong presence down here in Atlanta, Alabama. You feel what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying you won't find no Native Americans in any of these cities. You won't find a strong presence. We ain't out in Montana like that.
Okay? You're not going to find us in Montana and North and South Dakota. That's not our area, man. That's where you're not going to find a strong presence of us, American Indians. So this is what I want us to understand. Calm down. Let's focus on us, right? The AIM situation ain't had nothing to do with us. That's their problem. We were dealing with the 1968 Act, 1968 Civil Rights Act, AKA the Indian Civil Rights Act. Now, if we use common sense, we'll understand that we wasn't fighting for them. We had our own problems here. We had our own problems that we were fighting for. We wasn't getting ate up by dogs and water hosed down for them. They wasn't even in the fight with us. Why would we be fighting for them? They wasn't even in the fight with us. Pull up the pictures, pull up the videos. They're nowhere to be found. They wasn't even at the signing.
So let me clear that up. When I say we wasn't fighting for them, again, I do understand Dr. King was saying no one is free until we're all free, unless we're all free. So I do understand that our fight was being watched by the world, which inspired others. But what I'm saying is this 1968 Civil Rights Act, Indian Civil Rights Act, man, we wasn't fighting for y'all niggas. This shit was about us. Hence why you hear the president continue to mention the Negro. I don't know how to make that shit any more clear.
Wasn't even in the fight with us. Pull up the pictures, pull up the videos. They're nowhere to be found. They wasn't even at the signing after King was assassinated. They didn't riot with us. None of that. Why? Because that wasn't their situation. It was the American Indian situation. So with this docuseries, we're not going to do what they led us to believe that our African ancestors did to us in history. We're not going to repeat what they led us to believe that our ancestors from Africa did when they brought us over here from jungles. They didn't come look for us. They didn't come fight for us. That's not what these Indians are going to do. We have to find out what happened to those Indians after King was assassinated. Because today, we're black folks. We're African Americans. Well, what happened to those Indians? Where did they go? What happened to those niggers, which refers to the American Indians of this land? We have to find out. So we're going to look for our people in this series. So get ready. You can let the Native Americans tell you that you're still in their identity all you want. Let them talk. They're entertainment. They're entertainment Indians, respectfully. They're regulated, federally regulated by the government, respectfully. This is our land, and once you wake up to realize that, you'll be able to fight. So that's what we're doing. We about to slide. We got to go find out where them Indians went that was fighting for Indian civil rights in 1968, talking about we coming to get a check, talking about the Negro finds himself in exile in his own land, talking about before the forefathers got here, we were here. Before Plymouth Rock, we were here. What does all of that mean? What does all of that mean? Ames ain't got nothing to do with us. That's their situation. We're going to stay focused on this 1968 Civil Rights Act, aka the Indian Civil Rights Act. Our story, season 1, 1968, on the way. Peace.
The Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land.
So, I'm gonna stop that video there. Okay, now I do have another video I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play an episode from season 1 of our story, which is gonna also explain some things too. Bones, do you want to jump in and say anything while I pull that up?
Yeah, I mean, again, we can go back and read what they were fighting for. We can go back and read what the federal policy says and who it protected. But it's up to you to do the research to tie back to find out your place in this story. Because it happened. There's no denying that it happened. Now it's up to us to find our parts in it, rebuild our communities, and pick up the pieces for where our elders left off at. We can see what happened. We know what happened. Now it's time to fix it and move forward. I mean, time arguing with people on who you are and who your family is not going to get you nowhere. It's once you know who you are, you take on a responsibility of rebuilding it and putting it back together, making it right.
Right. Yeah, so it's funny because I see the sisters over there. She over there on her channel right now, trying to, talking her shit about us over here right now. But I'm gonna continue to just show y'all, like, man, y'all gotta make it make sense. I'm just gonna continue to show y'all the basic shit that you can fucking, I'm just gonna continue to show y'all the basic shit, y'all. So with that being said, let me jump into this this next video. Like I said, Bones, if you want to interject, jump in for clarity on some things. Okay, so this is a little longer, but this is an episode from season 1. Okay, and I just want y'all to check out some things in this episode. It should really open y'all eyes to some things, man. Like, niggas want y'all to be from Africa so bad. They want y'all to be from Africa so bad. Why? Because they're programmed. But let's go.
Up to 5,000 blacks are believed to have.
But she's still right. We want to.
Ghana from North America.
This is what we are faced with. This is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington.
Good morning, my sister TC. What's happening with you? Glad you're in here, sis. Hope you can hang out for a little bit because we got some shit to clear up.
In this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Reed, what's happening with you too? What's happening?
Up to 5,000 blacks are believed to have moved to Ghana from North America, the Caribbean, Brazil, and Europe. For many, it's been a bittersweet homecoming.
Yes, this is home. This is our new home. We've been here approximately 5 weeks now. Of course, we've been in Ghana going on 4 months.
And this is where we plan to have our entertainment room, which is...
Dr. Adwoa Asatiwa left a university professorship to move to Cape Coast with her husband, Kwaku.
We decided to relocate.
As expected, they found they can live in relative luxury on their savings.
So if you're going to retire, this is a better option than going to Florida? Or...
Oh, absolutely. Well, Florida, if you go to Florida, you have to start with $1 million up front, and that's not going to buy you too much in Florida.
But they've had to come to terms.
Yo, I just watched a good ass video on from Karimio the other day dealing with the Moors. He was breaking down the Princess and the Frog. He did a good job on that. Y'all go check that out. Karimio got a good video on that too. The talking about how the Moors came about. It's a book he was breaking down called The Princess and the Prophet. Princess and the Prophet. Good breakdown.
With a disturbing discovery.
Now, what we're looking at right here is these people that think they're going home to the motherland. Yeah, they think we going home to Ghana and we going home. We going home to our people. And then they see how they people feel about them when they get over there. And you can find many videos of this from our people, from our American African family who goes over to Africa to go be with their people. And they end up right back over here.
The Africans they see as brothers and sisters see them as strangers.
We wanted to feel like we had come home. However, we later found that we weren't that welcome by the native population. We weren't welcome is because they don't know us and we don't know them.
It takes just a short visit to the local market to see the gulf of 500 years of separation.
I don't want smoke, I want fresh.
Most locals don't even regard them as fellow blacks.
You have Ruba, I want Ruba.
They call them a Bruni, meaning whites.
How much you gonna charge?
Look, they call y'all white people over there. They don't even consider y'all who they are. They call y'all white folks over there. They call y'all a Brunis. You a Brunis. You American are Brunis. That's what they call y'all when y'all go over there to Ghana. They call y'all a Brunis. And they talk about y'all in their language, about how they finna rob y'all, how they finna hike the price up on you, a Brunis.
Charge me and don't charge me over.
Hey, don't get mad at me. That's what they call y'all over there. Don't get mad because I said, nah, get them that smoke. They the ones that call you a Brunis. I'd have never known this if y'all didn't go over there and this report was made about you a Brunis. You know why they call you a Brunis? Because y'all trying to steal their culture. Y'all over there trying to steal them people culture. You culture vultures. You a Brunis is over there. That's what I'm gonna start calling y'all. You a Brunis is over there trying to steal them people's culture. Didn't they say we trying to steal these Indians' culture? Nah, you a Brunis is over there trying to steal them people culture. And they calling y'all out about it.
I want fresh.
Most locals don't even regard them as fellow blacks.
You have Ruba, I want Ruba.
They call them a Bruni, meaning whites.
How much you gonna charge me? And don't charge me old Bruni prices. Beanie. If you charge me old Bruni, I don't buy. I like you, so I'm gonna I'll pay 1,000, but I know you overcharged me.
So is she a Bruni? She's a Bruni, is she?
Yeah. So I'm not Bruni, I'm Bibini. Okay, yo, Ashanti. It is not a very pleasing way to be identified. You know, we don't want to be called a Bruni because we certainly weren't treated like a Bruni in the U.S. By any stretch of the imagination. We were treated as African people.
Well, get used to it. Get used to it, a Bruni. You at home. Huh? Ain't that what you wanted? Nah, deal with it. We got our own fight over here. We can't worry about you a Brunis over there getting mistreated. We getting mistreated over here on our own land, my nigga. We got our own fight over here. We can't worry about you a Brunis. Deal with it. Deal with it like we deal with our situation over here on our land.
So that is a challenge.
We got motherfuckers over here stealing our whole fucking identity over here. Yeah, deal with it. Go home and deal with your fight. See what I'm saying? This is why them Africans don't respect y'all, because y'all are spoiled brats. Y'all some spoiled American brats to them. Deal with your problem. Don't run back over here. Deal with it, Brunis. Deal with it. You wanted to go back home, right? Well, you're home. It's not always going to be sweet at home. It's not always going to be pleasant at home. But that's why you telling us we African, right? Because we got to fight over there, right? Deal with it, Brunis. Don't run back over here. Yeah, you don't miss it till it's gone.
Not a very pleasing way to be identified. You know, we don't want to be called a Bruni because we certainly weren't treated like a Bruni in the U.S. By any stretch of the imagination. We were treated as African people. So that is a challenge.
She's also found that people have little sympathy for them as descendants of slaves.
Whoa! Whoa! No people got, listen, man, did you hear what they said? They also found that people have little sympathy about your little slave story. Oh, they over there, they have little sympathy about you a Bruni's little slave story. They don't want to hear your slave story over there. Don't get mad at us. They don't even want to hear it over there on the land. They don't want to hear your Bruni story, your slave story. They have little sympathy about your slave story over there on the land of Africa. How you think we feel over here?
That's by any stretch of the imagination, we were treated as African people. So that is a challenge.
She's also found,
and this is what I'm saying about for those of y'all that think I'm being disrespectful. For those of y'all that think I'm really being disrespectful, nah, keep that smoke for them niggas over there. They're the ones that don't have respect for your little slave story. How about that? How about that shit? Let that sink in. They already telling y'all we don't look at y'all the same. We don't respect y'all over here. We even call you a katas and a Brunis. Because we don't respect you niggas. Y'all niggas trying to steal our culture. We don't respect y'all niggas.
That's by any stretch of the imagination, we were treated as African people. So that is a challenge.
She's also found that people have little sympathy for them as descendants of slaves.
They don't
Good morning, Mama 3.
know the history. They don't know who we are. They don't know that we are baby.
She said, listen, y'all, and I'm going to let this video go. She said, now we heard the man say they also don't have much sympathy about your little slavery story. Them Africans don't give a shit about your little slavery story. So she's just going to put it in her head because they don't know our history. Who said they don't know?
Think about it, though. How crazy does that sound that you supposedly was taken from there? And them people were telling you they had no history of them people being taken from there.
Come on, Bones.
They don't know you.
They don't even respect your little slavery story that they taught you here in America. They don't respect your Bruni Kata slave picking story. They don't even respect it over there. Let that sink in. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Ain't Ghana West Africa? Ain't that West Africa, Bones? Ghana? Is Ghana West Africa? All right, so this is where y'all was stolen from. So of course they know your slave story, right? Because this is where y'all was stolen from. Ghana, y'all was taken from West Africa, right? Nigga, they don't even respect your slave story over there. They don't give two shits about y'all little slave story that y'all cry about over here in America. So why the fuck should I give a fuck about your little slave story? Your own family members back home don't care about your slave story, Brunis.
Way to be identified. You know, we don't want to be called Obruni because we certainly weren't treated like Obruni in the U.S. By any stretch of the imagination. We were treated as African people. So that is a challenge.
She's also found that people have little sympathy for them as descendants of slaves.
They don't know the history. They don't know who we are. They don't know that we are Abebu. They don't know that we are descendants of the Africans that were taken here through enslavement into the various Americas. They don't understand that for the most part. But our task and our challenge is to bring this information back to our brothers and sisters here.
Hold up, Callie. Pause,
bringing that information back to them, nigga. They don't want that shit.
I was just about to say that. That sounds like colonization to me.
Yeah, you gonna try to force your little slave story on the continental Africans. Fuck out of here.
But let's break it down on what you just heard. Forget these people's story, what they telling you what their history is. No, we're not gonna go with that. We're gonna go with the history that the US is telling us about these people, and we're gonna go over there and enforce it on them.
They don't know our history. So we're gonna come put this little slave story on you niggas in Africa too. They don't want your slave story. You want your slave story. You want your victim story. They don't want your Bruni slave story, your Akata slave story. They don't want it. Leave that dog alone. Leave him alone. They don't want your story. So you just gonna go force your little slave story on them? Don't get mad at us. I'm listening to the fucking report.
Happen a lot. I've talked about before on here, and you see me in posts talk about it. That I know that I am Native American. I am not from Africa.
All right, we're gonna jump right into this lesson, but first, let's identify that Frederick Douglass knew the so-called African Americans were in fact indigenous to America. All right, I want to read from this book real quick. The chief tribe inhabiting the semi-mountainous sagebrush-covered territory of Utah are the Indians of the same name, pronounced Utahs, all in a more or less savage condition, but with the exception of a few scatter bands at peace, or at worst on terms of armed neutrality with the whites. Pahutas, Pahides, Shoshones, Lukuraka, or sheep eaters, etc., are the names of some of the smaller bands. Most of them are low class, closely approximating to the diggers and poor in the extreme. The Goships are perhaps the most wretched of them all. So let's go down, get some more on these Utahs. They are very considerably inferior to even the despised Indians of California, inferior to all the races of savages on our continent, inferior to the Hottentots, and actually inferior in some respects to the Kitches of Africa. Such of them as we saw along the road and hanging about the stations were small, lean, scrawny creatures, in complexion a dull black, like the ordinary American Negro. So they were comparing these tribes to the American Negro. The government has always known that. Frederick Douglass knows as well. Even when you look at the magazines, they have magazines called Copper Romance. On these magazines, you see our women on the front of these magazines. Why would they use that term copper? Even during the times of the Cotton Club, they had magazines.
What was the definition of American? A
Colored
colored
races
race
found
of
here.
people. Okay. All right. Connect these dots, my nigga. Or just being a Bruni. They didn't say the Bruni people found here. They said the copper colored race of people found here. Noah Bruni.
Magazines called copper colored gals. Why would they use that term copper colored? We got to ask ourselves, why would they use that term copper colored? Because they understood the 1828 definition of American in the Webster's Dictionary, which says a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper colored races. Why would they use that term copper for our people and use the same definition in the dictionary? Make the correlation. Frederick Douglass in his own...
That's all I've been telling y'all. Connect these dots, y'all. Make the correlations. Connect the dots.
Own paper on January 22nd, 1852, Frederick Douglass had his own section in the paper called the Colonization Scheme, into where he said, there is no sentiment more universally entertained nor more firmly held by the free colored people of the United States than that this is their own, their native land, and that here, for good or for evil, their destiny is to be wrought out. Why was he saying their destiny is to be wrought out? He was referring...
Hold on, y'all. Remember I told y'all about the American Colonization Society when they were taking us from America into Africa, and then they were bringing us back to the land? So remember I said, would it make sense that maybe those so-called Africans that Neo-X loves to talk about, those Africans ran into, they kept escaping and they would run to the tribes, maybe because they were back home and they were just running back home because they knew the land. Maybe those were people taken from here into Africa and brought back to the land. And that's why they kept running away. They knew where they were at. But let's get back to this American Colonization Society.
January 22nd, 1852, Frederick Douglass had his own section in the paper called the Colonization Scheme, into where he said, there is no sentiment more universally entertained nor more firmly held by the free colored people of the United States than that this is their own, their native land, and that here, for good or for evil, their destiny is to be wrought out. Why was he saying their destiny is to be wrought out? He was referring to a man named Robert Finley in 1816 who started something called the American Colonization Society, and where they was trying to push the indigenous Black Americans to West Africa. They wanted us to go there willingly. They also started something called the Universal Negro Improvement Association, where they wanted to try to force all of the so-called African Americans who are actually indigenous Americans. They wanted to force us to willingly go to Liberia and set up Liberia. In fact, indigenous Americans founded Liberia. Okay?
Isn't this what we was just talking about, Bones?
It's a colony. America created it. That, Sierra Leone, these are not African places.
So you wonder why those people of West Africa might look like you, because they took you over there. We populated those areas. We civilized those areas. These things, listen, y'all. These things actually exist. The American Colonization Society, the American Improvement Society, members of the Universal Negro Improvement, they sent you niggas to Africa.
And that's why you can get genetic hits from people from West Africa
Facts.
because a lot of them are descendants from the Americas that went there.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, come on. This thing actually exists.
And to add on to what you were saying before, what people like to say a lot, oh, well, the runaway African slaves, they mingled and blended in with the Indians. I'm like, okay, cool. If these Africans blended in with the Indians and you couldn't tell them apart, what does the Indian look like?
What does the Indian look like then?
Because if it looks like what they're trying to show you,
Facts.
if it looks like the image they're trying to show you, how do you blend in?
So if you're looking at them people with the TPs, right? Huh? The people with out west with the TPs, if you're looking at what they look like, and you're telling me that the Africans, these so-called Africans, came over here and they blended in with our tribes or with the Native American tribes, right? Then how did they blend in? If those people look Chinese, Asian, Spanish, how did they blend in and didn't stick out? How did the African blend in and didn't stand out? Or did the Indian look like us? Huh? Remember, 1968, they were marching for Indian civil rights.
That's why I say, Callie, it's very important what people say, but the most important information is what they don't say.
Let that sink in, y'all. When they keep telling y'all these so-called Africans ran away and they were hid by the tribes. If the people of the tribes look Asian, Spanish, how do the African blend in with them? But they said they blended in with the Indians of the land. So what did the Indians look like then? Especially if they was coming in through that East Coast.
And they're telling you. And if you think about it, Callie, they're telling you. It's just up to you to realize that they're telling you. That's why I don't argue with people when they be like, oh, y'all got like that because the Africans ran away to the tribes and blended in. Okay, well, if that's true, what did the Indian look like then? Because he didn't blend in with a whole bunch of fair-skinned looking people.
Facts.
Negro Improvement Association, where they wanted to try to force all of the so-called African Americans who are actually indigenous Americans. They wanted to force us to willingly go to Liberia and set up Liberia. In fact, indigenous Americans founded Liberia. Okay? So Frederick Douglass has always known he himself is indigenous. You can Google that. There's also an article with Frederick Douglass called The Folly of Colonization, into which he said, it is the proposition to colonize the colored people of America in Africa or somewhere else. Happily, this scheme will be defeated, both by its impolicy and its impracticability. It is all nonsense to talk about the removal of 8 million of the American people from their homes in America to Africa.
Whoa. Frederick Douglass wasn't playing with you Negroes. He wasn't playing with you Negroes. Nigga, it's crazy to think y'all finna send us to Africa. Y'all finna take us from here and send us to Africa. This is what he's talking about. I keep telling y'all the American Colonization Society was a thing. When you want to talk this slavery talk, they took us from America into Africa. I mean, believe what you want.
I mean, the descendants of them people are still fighting today. The descendants of them people that were taken over there are still fighting to today. Because the people don't want them there. They call them colonizers.
We might have to do something on that, Bones. We might have to do something on that just to show the people what we're talking about.
Opposition to colonize the colored people of America in Africa or somewhere else. Happily, this scheme will be defeated, both by its impolicy and its impracticability. It is all nonsense to talk about the removal of 8 million of the American people from their homes in America to Africa. Why did he say that? Why didn't he say Africans moving back home to Africa? Because Frederick Douglass understood that the people you call African Americans are in fact the original indigenous people of America. Bottom line.
Before the Pilgrim Fathers landed at Plymouth, we were here. Before Jefferson etched across the pages of history the majestic words of the Declaration of Independence, we were here. Before the beautiful words of the Star-Spangled Banner were written, we were here.
So yeah, basically, I think what people need to understand is that when it comes down to the indigenous people that look like myself, or have indigenous heritage, we would say, and are tied to certain tribes that were obviously at a certain time frame going into what we call 1820s, 1830s, you know, they were no longer attached to these tribal situations from what they try to show with the treaties and stuff. But what needs to be understood is, you know, we can jump from that 1820 time frame, the Indian removal time frame, and you can walk up a trail back to see when we get to like the 1900s that people are still knowing who they are in the
Shout out to the Aquamax checking in, man. Shout out to the tribe.
system. But there's a term that's being used for a lot of these areas, and it's called the free person of color, or that free Negro term that, you know, we still use to this day in our culture, the word Negro. And it's crazy because now we look at the word Negro and the Indian, and you look at what's going on into, say, World War II. This is like in the 1930s. So when they talk about this World War II going on around the world, and that people who look like me and our ancestors that fought in World War II, and now in a certain place, as an example, would be Virginia. And Virginia happens, and I have a source for it, says that, you know, and the name of the source is Who is an Indian and Who is a Negro? This is Virginia Indians in World War II draft. And it says it's by Paul T. Murray. Now, it says, who is an Indian, who is a Negro? How does one decide a person's race? Few Americans have ever had the occasion to ponder deeply these questions. In most cases, the answer is self-evident. A racial label is usually assigned by reference to obvious physical criteria, such as skin color, hair texture, and facial characteristics. But in any multiracial society, there are some people who cannot be neatly placed into one of a limited number of categories. Further, in society where one's social position depends heavily upon race, resolving questions of racial classification becomes a serious issue. People of mixed race may attempt to improve their position by changing their racial designation. Such an attempt forces government officials to confront directly the delicate issue of determination of race. Their decisions have far-reaching consequences, not only for the people directly involved, but also for the entire society. Now, the next paragraph is where it gets interesting to go to my point. During the Second World War, it says a small group of Virginia Indians challenged the prevailing system of racial classification. When called to register with the Selective Service System, they listed their race as Indian. Local draft boards, however, would not accept this claim. They recall that in antebellum days, some of their registrants' ancestors had married free Negroes. Based on this evidence, the boards insisted that the proper classification for all alleged Indians was Negro.
Now, these are soldiers trying to go to war in World War II, and they tried to put themselves down as Indians. These are Virginia soldiers trying to go fight, and they're trying to put themselves down as Indians. And they told them, "Nah, y'all got to put Negro." Why would they want to put? Why didn't they want to put African down there? Huh? Why didn't they want to put African down there?
But doesn't that show that the federal government identified American Indians as Negroes?
Facts. Said you Indian niggas, y'all gotta put y'all names down as Indian. Y'all gotta be Negroes on the classification. That's what the government told these soldiers. You Indian niggas, you Virginia Indian niggas, you so-called black Virginia Indian Negroes, y'all got to put down for y'all classification Negroes. In 1968, when LBJ was giving that speech, he said the Negro no longer has to go through this embarrassment. Talking about the Fair Housing Act in the 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act.
Some of their registrants, ancestors had married free Negroes. Based on this evidence, the boards insisted that the proper classification for all alleged Indians was Negro. The Indians were adamant in refusing this designation. Draft board members were equally determined not to classify the men as Indians because such a classification would mean that they would be sent to the military service together with whites. For 5 years, the Indians appealed this decision through the channels of the state and the Federal Selective Service Bureau. Now that source, and the person that wrote it is touching on something, because, when we get from the 1930s to World War, people fighting in the World War II and stuff, and then, they come back from the war, right? They know, especially those particular group of people in Virginia, who, before they went into the war, they were Indians.
They knew who they were before they went into the war. They knew they were Indians.
Whatever
But guess what
tribe in
happened?
the area.
Pause it again. See, this is why I love studying federal policy. They went off to the war. They came back in 1930. But Walter Plecker did something in 1924.
The Racial Integrity Act.
You understand? You get what I'm saying? That's why I say if you follow federal policy, it goes hand in hand. It will show you what they did and who they did it to.
Facts.
Remember, these soldiers left Indian, came back, had to reclassify as Negro.
Mm-hmm. And when we deal with Walter Plecker, remember I told you the Indian was reclassified to colored, to Negro. I mean, y'all connected us.
But this the question. If he was reclassified to Negro and colored, what was he classified before?
Right. I ain't say African. When did y'all become Africans? When did y'all niggas become Africans?
According to the U.S. government, you couldn't claim that until the year 2000 census.
Come
on. In the area, shout out to all the tribes in what we call today the state of Virginia. And at the same time, though, you got these people having to register as Negroes. In some cases, not having no deal with actually people that might be made.
What area? They said again? Virginia.
Virginia.
Indians. Who did Walter Plecker go after in Virginia?
Virginia.
Indians.
Where's Chris Brown? Where did Chris Brown say his tribe is from? Virginia. Them Pamunkey Indians from Virginia. What does Chris Brown look like?
This is what happened. Them soldiers left one thing, came back something else. Remember, this is not the only story of it. When they came back and were reclassified as something completely else.
And they started implementing this shit everywhere. They started implementing that Walter Plecker shit everywhere. On down to even New Orleans, where Chief Sunnow was telling us about a lady named Naomi Drake down in New Orleans. She was the Walter Plecker of New Orleans.
Yeah, because he sent the letter out. He was the first register. He sent the letter out to let everybody else know how to follow suit.
Yeah. Yeah, these niggas can't call themselves Indians. Call them colored. Call them Negroes. All non-reservation Indians took on the term of what? Slave or Negro?
Negro, because all
Negro.
non-reservation Indians were automatically U.S. citizens.
Come on, man. Let's go, man.
Negroes, but free Negroes. You see it said that. But not all of them have that mixture, and they're still having to be registered as Negroes. And that makes only sense because only Indians that look or could be, misclassified for a Negro would be Indians that look like us.
Come on, man.
So, or indigenous people of their tribes in that area that look like us.
Come on, man. What we doing here? This shit is
and now they're having to register on their paperwork as a Negro. So that is very important for our people in the past to understand that we understand now, to give to our people now in the present, that we understand what happened. And the people during the civil rights that knew who they were and still was identifying with what their cultural marker is from the tribal nature of their people, knew that in the system they had to register as free persons of color when it came to getting jobs or working for the military or certain different things. That last source that I read from is proof of that. And then obviously when we get to the 1960s with Martin Luther King, and he's talking about, being exiled on your own land, it sounds like a bunch of people who know their indigenous history still and heritage and lineage, know that commercially, economically, and politically within their area of region, they're having to work and blend into the new term that they're being described as free persons of color or free Negroes.
I didn't ask you that. So do you know what the nickname for the 1968 Civil Rights Movement was? What was it? The nickname of it? We know it was called the Civil Rights Movement in 1968. There were nicknames attached to it.
I'm unfamiliar with any other, maybe Black Love. I'm unfamiliar with the nicknames.
So the nicknames was the Indian Civil Rights Act. They were fighting for the Indian Bill of Rights. They were also fighting for public Indian housing, right?
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers.
Tribes consist of the Dows.
Oh, the reason I did that is because
Tell you why.
I'm about to play a clip from Young Pharaoh, and he does a lot of profanity. So if you have any children in the room or whatever, that's why I put that clip in there. He's getting ready to, he talks like me pretty much. So that's why I put that clip in there.
Language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Why don't black people think that they were the Indians? Why do niggas only think that they was fucking African? Okay, I'll tell you why. For one, the word semantics got you fucked up. For two, okay, the Dow's Commission. As you can see, this is from the U.S. Department of the Interior. Okay, when you go to the U.S. Department of the Interior, you go to tribes and you research information on Dow scrolls. I did this myself. I screenshotted this shit myself. I went there myself. And so that being said, it says what? Information on the Dow scrolls. The Dawes Commission was organized in 1893 to accept applications for tribal enrollment between 1899 and 1907 from the American Indians of the 5 civilized tribes who resided in the Indian Territory, which later became the eastern portion of Oklahoma. The 5 civilized tribes consist of the Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, Seminole Indians, and Chickasaw Indians. Okay? Now, with that being said, here's a paper on the Dow's roll. Now, these say identify Mississippi Choctaws. So what happened was, a part of one of the treaties in the Dow's Commission was to give land back to the Indians that was wrongfully taken. Okay? And so, as you can see, this should say William.
To give land back to the Indians that was improperly taken. This is what I keep telling y'all about. We have a fight on this land. We actually have a fight on our land.
But there's something that was said that was very deep in there that people don't realize. This Dawes Rolls only deal with the 5 civilized tribes.
Civilized tribes, right.
That's it. You understand? Right. And it's not even dealing with the original tribes from out the area. These are some of the people that's left in eastern Oklahoma that they're signing up for this.
Right. Definitely. But just the point I'm making, when you talk to your elders in your family and they tell y'all they own land here, they had businesses, they were tricked off their land, things like that. This is your fight on this land for your people, for your identity on this land. Somebody's trying to give you a whole nother identity and tell you come across some water there, and then when you go home to where they tell you from, they call you a Brunies. They call you niggas a Brunies because they know you ain't them. I'm just saying.
Williamson Mill. Most of these motherfuckers is white. Age 30, male, full-blooded Indian. Name of father. And so what happens was with the Dawes Rolls is the government allow other white people to pay $5 to get listed down as if they were an Aboriginal Indian, so that way they can receive the benefits of the land that the government was supposed to give back to the blacks.
Whoa. Nah, but you African though. You're African though. You're black. So since you gonna go along with the African story, yeah, they giving your benefits to these TP Indians. Yeah. The government and basically the government giving your benefits back to themselves because they in them tribes with the TP Indians. They in there with them. The shit they supposed to give back to you, they give it back to themselves. They playing in y'all face.
So when you look at motherfuckers on the Indian reservations today, and they getting $20,000 to $100,000 checks a month from the government can't come on the reservation. They got all them casinos. That's actually our shit. But the reason we don't claim it is because we don't think that we the motherfuckers that was over here too. And so this is where you get the term $5 Indian from, because white people allowed themselves to claim themselves as the Indians for $5 in order to receive the benefits from themselves that they were supposed to give to us.
Didn't I just say that shit? The white folks is paying themselves your benefits. They allowed themselves to be incorporated into these 5 civilized tribes.
But that was the setup and the trap from the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely the setup. Definitely. They paying themselves your benefits while you call yourself African American.
That's why to this day, no one that sits on the boards of these tribes have no indigenous connection whatsoever. They're government appointed. They're federally appointed there. Right. So all these people did was, okay, I'm going to tell my people to tell some more of my people to tell some more of my people to get down with this.
Yeah. Playing in your face.
Okay. Now here's another joint right here. Another poster. All right. What year is this from? Let me find the date on it. 1902, July 1st. It says, the Commission of the 5 Civilized Tribes will continue in session. Okay? Notice given to all hereby free men listed.
Give me a second, y'all. I'm going to get back to this. Look at this picture on the screen. You see this picture on the screen? Let me see. Can I put it full screen? Look at this picture on the screen of this guy. So you got these people talking about the Africans. They ran and they hid in the tribes of the Indians, of the indigenous tribes. So you think the Africans was going to blend in with these motherfuckers on the screen? Look at that nigga. You think the Africans that they ran and they would run away and they would hide. What did the Indians look like then? If these people are the original people of the land, right? If they're claiming to be the indigenous people and you're telling me the Africans ran and hid in with the indigenous people of the land, how did they blend in with these niggas? All right.
is this from? Let me find the date on it. 1902, July 1st. It says, the commission of the 5 civilized tribes will continue in session. Okay? Notice given to all hereby free men listed as doubtful claimants that after May 31st, their cases will be considered and completed. Okay? Now this goes to, now you have to ask yourself, who the fuck is this nigga?
Facts.
Because this not a real Indian.
Facts.
Okay? So who?
He said, who the fuck is this nigga? Facts, Pharaoh. Fucking facts. Who the fuck is this nigga? Out of everything we just, who the fuck is this nigga right here? Huh? These the people out west with the TPs getting your benefits right now. Why you call yourself black and why you call yourself African and African American. These niggas on the screen is hijacking everything from you. He said, who the fuck is this nigga?
Who is him? I'm finna show you. Okay? This is a $5 Indian. This is a Mexican. Okay? Don't worry, I got you. White people and Mexicans are the motherfuckers that's claiming today to be the Indians. Okay? Now let me show you how. If you go to an Indian reservation today, these are the 2 motherfuckers you gonna see. Okay? But these ain't the Negroes that the generals and the colonels was speaking about.
Them ain't the Negroes of the Indian 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act. Them ain't the Negroes fighting for public Indian housing. Them ain't the Negroes who went to World War II as Indians and came back as Negroes. Them ain't the non-reservation Indians that got reclassified to Negro. Who the fuck is these niggas?
And I'm glad you say that,
Seminoles.
because a lot of times they're trying to force the story of the reservation Indian on you. But what about the non-reservation Indians, the ones that never went, that never left? Where are their descendants today?
If you go to an Indian reservation today, these are the 2 motherfuckers you gonna see. Okay? But these ain't the Negroes that the generals and the colonels was speaking about. These ain't the Seminoles and the Gullah warriors that they was worried about. So who the fuck are these people? If history already confirms that they call Indians blue-black via the word indigo, these motherfuckers ain't blue-black. If everybody, including the presidents of the United States of America, confirmed that the Indians were black and they were fighting back, who the fuck is these people? See, I got to show you how they got there. So we're going to do imposter versus original part 1. This is imposter. Now, these are original black Indians. This is a Crow tribesman. This picture was taken in 1873. As you can clearly fucking see, there's a huge difference. A huge difference.
Do you get what he say? What it mean when he say there's a huge difference? A huge difference. He's saying the color of their skin, copper colored people. He's saying there's a huge difference. This ain't who they described. These niggas on the screen ain't who they described. It's a huge difference from what he just showed you.
But let's remember this too. In 1953, the tribes were terminated. In 1970, they came back as organizations.
Gotcha.
It was not the same. When they came back, when they reinstated the tribes, the people that came back weren't the same people that got kicked out.
Not the same people. Flat fact.
Now, these are original black Indians. This is a Crow tribesman. This picture was taken in 1873. As you can clearly fucking see, there's a huge difference. A huge difference. So we have to ask ourselves, how did our ancestors become these motherfuckers? Okay? I'm gonna give you the answer now. See, all non-Africans are Neanderthal. See. Now, this is an African woman from Africa. These are the Adamant Island black people by China. This is a queen from Jamaica. This is a light-skinned Khoisan or San people from Africa. And this is a black Aboriginal Indian woman from America. And the point I'm trying to make is all black people stem from that mitochondrial Eve gene. This is why no matter what shade we are, we got them same distinct features. You're going to see that nose. You're going to see them lips. and you're gonna see that body type. Okay. Now, if you're not of human descent, you're a Neanderthal. Okay. If you're not of the descent of the black woman, you're a Neanderthal. Now, why is this important? As you can see, this albino African right here still look like an African, but this Dravidian man, aka the motherfuckers that's in India, when they're albino, they look like him. Now, this dude right here at the top right with these freckles is not a white man. This is an albino Dravidian. The dude at the bottom is a white man. White people are genetically engineered Dravidians, and they're genetically dead Asians. This is why they call Caucasians. So what happens is when you take a white person and you mix them with a Chinese person and you mix them with a mulatto black person, you get a Mexican. So this is why racist white people call Mexicans spicks, because a spick is like the equivalent to calling somebody a mutt. We know a dog mutt is mixed with a lot of races. This is why you see right here, this Mexican look just like this Chinese man. This Chinese man right here look like Genghis Khan, and he looked just like this Mexican. Same nose, same lip, everything.
He's walking you into where your little Native Americans come from, where your little TP Indians come from. He's walking you into how he's showing you. And remember, we told y'all these people came from somewhere. They came from somewhere to this land. Their culture is not our culture. They look at the Mexicans. You got Mexicans, you got white people all mixing in. These people came from somewhere. Their culture isn't ours. This is what we're trying to tell y'all. But they're going to turn into your Native American Indians.
The only difference between Chinese people and Mexicans is Mexicans have white people. I mean, they're mixed with white people, aka Spaniards, and they're mixed with mulatto black people. So when white people, because the Chinese was over here too, don't get it fucked up. When white people and Chinese people was raping motherfuckers in the Caribbeans, and Sir Francis Drake was doing his circumnavigation, and they was taking them mulattoes and having babies with them mulattoes, they started creating what you call Hispanics. Okay, so a Hispanic person is like the race of people that was created after mulattoes. So we know that mulattoes were not only created during slavery, Spanish people were too. Spanish people are a slavery bred race of people. Okay, that shit needs to be understood. So now this is why Spanish people believe that they were the fucking Olmecs. This is why Mexicans are trying to argue you down about being the Olmecs, because they look like the Indians that was over there today. But they don't know that the Indians that was over there is the $5 Indian. The nigga on the right is a Native American. The nigga on the left is a Mexican.
Look at the similarities. Look at this shit. Look at this. This is who's getting your benefits on the land right now.
These are not the same people, but they look exactly the same. I'm trying to tell y'all, I got this shit down pat, man. The nigga on the right is what you call a $5 Indian. This is the nigga you gonna see when you go to an Indian reservation today. The nigga on the left is a Mexican. This the nigga you gonna see when you at any given mall in Los Angeles. Okay? Why is this important? The nigga on the
again, how did the Africans blend in with these niggas? How did it happen? How did the Africans that kept running away, how did they blend in with these niggas if these niggas was the real Indians of the land and we're stealing from them? How did the Africans blend in with these niggas?
But you know what's even worse, Callie? I've never heard of a historical story of slavery on the West Coast and Indians running away. That's an East Coast story. See, that's why I said the problem is that's the East Coast and Southern Indians and Northeast Indian story.
Now, remember, I told y'all they have a story on this land. It just ain't over here in our area. It's out west. It's not our story. When you remember when I told y'all to pay attention to geographical locations when they're talking about Indians and shit, and find out where the geographical location is, and then you look and see where there a large presence of these people in that area, and you're gonna see no, it wasn't. So that Africans running away to the tribe shit, That's an East Coast story. That's over here on this side of town with the dark Indians, us. This ain't their story. We ain't hear no stories about no Africans running away out west and joining the tribes out west. Come on, man.
Okay? Why is this important? The nigga on the left think that he's original to the land. The nigga on the right think that he's original to the land because they both have been finessed to take your place as the Indian because you don't want to take your fucking place. Let's keep it moving. The nigga on the left is the nigga that you should see on the plantation. That's us. But the nigga on the right is who you see. This is the original.
He meant the reservation.
Indian, and that's the $5 Indian. This is how they whitewash you from your history. Okay? Okay. And so now why is this important? Okay? The nigga on the right is receiving all your benefits.
Facts.
The nigga on the right, okay, is getting that $100,000 checks. The nigga on the right is making that casino money.
Fact.
Making that money and making all of that money that they make off the reservation.
Getting all your shit. All your everything that's owed to you. This nigga on the right is getting all your shit. Because you think you're African and you think you're black.
And it gets deep. It gets deep, Cali. Let me give everybody a jewel to think about real quick. Isn't Las Vegas an Indian territory, or that would have been Indian territory at this time?
Yep.
Isn't that where the mob went to go build their casinos in Indian territory because it was outside of U.S. jurisdiction?
And this is and yep. And
I
that's
could have sworn Trump had a court case.
Trump said what he said. Yep.
Talking about this because there's a lot of people that know what really happened, that a lot of these different people mingled in with us, replaced us for the benefits, for the ability to set up businesses on this land, for the ability to trade and do commerce.
Yep. And that's why you hear Trump say, hey, listen, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. That's what he was talking about during that thing.
When really that shit should be coming to us. So when niggas get to talking about reparations for slavery, can we please include the money that they owe us for giving to these fake ass Indians? Because they owe us that too. See, y'all niggas got the game fucked up. But don't worry, I'm gonna make sure we get it right. Now, this is proof that black people travel from North America to Africa and from Africa to North America. And I'm gonna do an entire lecture on this. I'm just giving y'all one snippet because I don't.
This is proof that these niggas travel from North America to Africa.
Well, the simple thing is what I don't understand is how much more proof you need than corn.
Yeah, man.
Corn comes from America and it got spread to other places around the world. Out of the 640 foods that's in Africa, 600 comes from the Americas. What are we talking about? How did it get there? You get what I'm saying? People had to been traveling.
Right. Like, yeah, man. I mean, it's 2025, man.
I mean, we can even go deeper, Kelly. How did the Choctaw take care of the Irish during the potato famine? Because the Choctaw back then sent the potatoes that they grown to Ireland. Ireland paid them back a couple of years ago for it. I mean, this is documented history.
I don't know, man. People just want us to be African so bad. They want to hold on to this. It's just bad because y'all want to push this Africa slave story so bad, and even the Africans don't want that shit.
But again,
deter y'all minds from the
real quick, it's dangerous. History teaches we have always been used to be the face of other people's fight. See, we have to be honest, brothers and sisters.
Yep.
There are a large group of people in the Americas that do have a larger claim to a slavery story. The thing is, they are of European descent.
Yep.
Let's not get pulled into somebody else's fight and we become the face of it. But then when it's time and over with, we're locked out again.
And this is how it always happens to us. Always happens to us. The programming is crazy. The programming is crazy.
Other wars and had y'all, you know, too far back in history, thousands of years ago. This is the ancient Mayan presence in Egypt. Okay, there is a temple in Egypt called the Maya Temple. It was sent to the Maya gatekeepers who are still living today, named Alun Jukshakin, Han Bates Men, and Don Alejandro. Don Alejandro says that according to the Mayan tradition, their ancestors came from the Pleiades star system to the four corners of the earth. Okay, same with black people, Egypt, Dogon, everybody got the same creation story. But continuing on, one of those corners being North Africa, Egypt. They were known as the Naga Maya. Okay, Naga meaning God, tribe, divinity. Maya meaning water in Mayans. Okay, so Naga comes from the African word Nag, which means tribe and God and divinity and royalty. And Maya comes from a still spoken language today, okay, which means water. So Naga Maya translates into the tribe that came from across the water. Now on the left, okay, you see Mayan glyphs and architecture. Now on the right is a picture of a temple in Egypt, specifically in Saqqara. And these glyphs are in the Mayan temple, aka the Chapel of Maya. And when these glyphs were sent to these still today living heads of the Mayan culture, they confirmed that these were Mayan glyphs. So the Mayans, aka the Black Indians, Native Americans, Aboriginals, whatever the fuck you want to call them, were traveling to Egypt, and the blacks in Egypt were traveling to North America to Mayan civilization. So here's the thing, as I close this out, why do y'all niggas keep trying to sustain the Aboriginal versus African argument when it has never been a versus until today?
Came down, stayed down, grinded on, stayed real, caught the clown, took his crown with the steel, made moves, broke free, new deal, Big D, 500, SEL, DC, ATL, real G's, feel good, smoke good, drink good, more cash, new car, new crib, same hood, made shoes, don't lie, won't die, won't snooze, don't front, don't bruise, beat the game, won't lose, ride a hoop, hit stoves, new gear, slang eight, could quit, no fear, won't quit, real spray, call dog, cycle pack, rip tracks, 5-0, been one, cut out, shot one, need no wicked, coming straight from the dick. Ain't nothing but them belongs. You know what I'm saying? Hit some, lawyers fees, sell old, smoke trees, roll deep, smell new, red or blue, casualties, jack wheat, ghetto mafia, Nino, wicked, draw the line, world's cold, went gold, take soul, talking, spray song, smoke one, black tech, cook whip, shake and bake, cash checks, break nicks, my money, can't hide, no love, gotta die, my town, too small, I won't be, voila, outrage, front page, stick-a-boo, at large, FBI, drug raid, breakdown, in charge, big clean, big bank, big deck, go pop it, high power, no problem, get back, get on my feet. Y'all know it is, coming straight from the gator. Ain't never them belong. Get paid up here. Big D. Came up, came down, stayed down, grinding long, stayed real, caught the clown, took his crown with the steel, made moves, break free, New Deal, Big D, 500, SEL, DC, ATL, Real G, feel good, smoke good, drink good, more cash, new car, new crib, same hood, man to choose, don't lie, won't die, won't snooze, can't front, don't bruise, beat the game, won't lose, ride with the hit stores, new gear, slang yay, can't quit, no fear, won't quit, real spray, call dog, snipers pack, rip tracks, 5-0, bang one, cut one, shot one, wicked! Now I'm saying, top to the table. Ain't that what the billows? No, I said billows, not billows, billows. What's up, potato? What's the last one?
The life of Rosa Parks. She sat down to stand up for civil rights. 90 years ago, when Rosa Parks was growing up in Alabama, life was very unfair in the world she lived in. Black and white people were not treated equally, even though under the 14th Amendment of the US Constitution, the law said they must be. Instead, the government came up with a trick called separate but equal, which meant that people could still be segregated by race and skin color. In bathrooms, in shops, in restaurants, and at drinking fountains. Not very equal, right? Rosa Parks was born on February 4th, 1913. Her mother was a teacher and her father was a carpenter. When her parents separated, she moved to Montgomery in Alabama to live on her grandparents' farm. From there, she had to walk to school. Only white kids could use the bus. When her grandmother became sick and needed care, she was forced to quit school and look after her. At 19, Rosa met Raymond Parks, a barber and political activist in the fight for equal rights. They fell in love and soon they got married. Now, with his encouragement, she went back to studying and finished high school. At that time, less than 7% of the Black community graduated high school, so Rosa already stood out from the rest. After graduating, she settled into married life and took on a bunch of jobs, like doing laundry, mopping hospital floors, working in domestic service, and sewing and repairing clothes. Through her husband Raymond, Rosa got involved in the important work at the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Soon after, she started working as a secretary at the office in Montgomery, Alabama. She was busy investigating cases of racial injustice. What makes Rosa Parks so famous is what she did on December 1st, 1955. First, you gotta know that, at the time, the buses in Montgomery were divided. A seating area for white people, and a seating area in the back for Black people. If more white passengers needed seats, then Black passengers had to move further back and stand. If there was no standing room, they had to get off the bus. That's how unequally people were treated. After a long day at work, Rosa caught the bus home. She was
my dog Chuck so Mac in the building, man. What's up, my brother, my brother. Hey, if you I got a few more minutes on this video. I got Bones on the panel right now too. So if you wanna, matter of fact, I'm gonna drop the link for you, Mac. Just since we ain't talked in a minute, but this is another one of the teachers in our community, man. This is another one of them. You feel what I'm saying? That was kicking down these doors long before it was cool to do so. Mac, I dropped that link in the chat only for you. If you got time, if you want to come up, I got Brother Bones up on the panel too. I'm just trying to get through this video because we're clearing up some things, you know, dealing with our people. But if not, I understand. We'll link up another time. But it's there for you if you want to pop up.
was worn out, physically tired, and tired of all the unfairness she saw around her. She took her seat, but as the bus filled up, 2 or 3 white passengers were left standing. The bus driver asked Rosa to give up her seat and move to the back. She politely refused and stayed put. Think what guts that takes. I felt a determination cover my body like a quilt on a winter's night, she later said. The driver called the police and she was arrested and put in jail. On Monday, December 5th, 1955, the day of Rosa's trial.
So I'm going to scoot up a little past this. It's a reason I'm showing this. It's because, matter of fact, I explained it here. Matter of fact, let's go. You know, that's part of the docu-series. So.
I'm down here in Montgomery, Alabama, one of the major places of the civil rights movement, led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, the house right across the street back there is the house that he lived in from, I believe, 1950 to 1960.
February is a celebration of Black History Month. In Montgomery, Alabama, people from all over the country have.
I'm gonna scoot up a little bit. That's just a little info on his house. Now I'm finna go into. You'll see. Let's go.
Around because I want to show you once again the area that Dr. King lived in. This area is a predominantly Black area. So back then, civil rights time, it would have been a Black area with white people coming through. Now, what I want y'all to understand, I told you there's certain things we have to pay attention to, and one of those things is geographical locations in these stories being told about the Indian. Now here, we're in Montgomery, Alabama, where Dr. King lived in a predominantly Black neighborhood, as he did in the house he grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I also showed you that. Somebody's missing from this equation a set of Indians. They're missing from this equation. In this area, there was no presence of Native American Indians. There's no presence of them, or not a strong presence of them, if there were some here. So this is what I want you to understand. In 1968, Dr. King had a lot of people who looked like us, organized and fighting for Indian civil rights. Again, somebody's missing from this equation if they're going to tell the story that we were fighting for the rights of them, right? I want us to start connecting the basic dots. Remember, I told you this docuseries is simply about creating the basic dots, scratching your head saying, this don't make sense, right? So once again, we have a set of people telling us we all come from Africa and all life comes from Africa, and that's fine and dandy, cool. Now I have to ask the question, well, who were those Indian? So who were those Indians that were organized in 1968 fighting for Indian civil rights? Public Indian housing, the Fair Housing Act of 1968, and the Indian Bill of Rights. Let's pull those pictures up from Alabama and let's look at those people organized with Dr. King. Those were people from his community. Those were people in those pictures from his community. This is my family's roots down here, Birmingham, Bessemer, Alabama. This is my family's roots down here. My grandmother is from Alabama. There was a large presence of people who looked like us in this area. 1968, it was nicknamed the Indian Civil Rights Act. At the signing, after Dr. King passed away, somebody is missing from that equation. Somebody was missing at that signing. A group of Indians were missing. There were no Native Americans at that signing in 1968. There were no Native American Indians at that signing in 1968. There were no Indians from India at that signing in 1968 after Dr. King was assassinated. But guess who was there? There were some people who looked like us, looked like me, looked like your grandmother, your uncles, your aunts, your family members, your bloodline, who at some point in their life, an elder told you they had Indian in them or they were Indian. Is it starting to make sense? What benefit would I have as an African fighting for Indians? What do I benefit as an African? And I got my own problems here in Montgomery, Alabama. What do I benefit fighting for Indians who's not even in my community on a reservation somewhere? I'll once again explain how that worked. Dr. King said in one of his famous speeches, no one is free until we're all free. The world was watching the civil rights movement. The world was watching the civil rights movement that was going on here in Montgomery and also Birmingham, Alabama. The world was watching what was going on. People were inspired by what we did in the civil rights movement. Dr. King said, no one is free until we're all free. So with that being said, we had a specific fight here in Montgomery. We had a specific fight in Birmingham. We had a specific fight in Memphis, in Georgia, in Virginia, in New York, in the Midwest. We had a specific fight over here in the Southeast, up the East Coast, right? But our fight benefited other groups of people around the world. Again, after Dr. King was assassinated and the riots jumped off in over 100 cities in America, there were no Indians from India in those riots, rioting with people that look like us. There were no Native American Indians rioting. There were no Native American Indians rioting. What did those Indians look like that was tearing up 100 cities across America due to the death of Dr. King? Look at those pictures. Pull up the riot pictures. Pull up the riot videos. Once again, someone is missing from this equation. If we allow people to continue to tell our story, they'll continue to tell you this wasn't about you. You came from across the water, someplace called Africa, and we wiped away your whole history. They'll continue to tell you you're not the real Indians of America who were reclassified to color, to Negro, to blacks, to African Americans, to niggers. But they are the real Indians. This is what people would tell you when they're inserting themselves into your story. Now, in this area, there's no presence of Native American Indians. There's no presence of Indians from India in this area. There's no presence of them in Atlanta, Memphis, Florida. There's no presence of these people. So why is it when they tell the story of the American Indian, for some reason, these people incorporate themselves into our story as if it's about them, as if the story's about them, because they call themselves the real Indians of America, and they say we're stealing their culture. Now, I'll tell you this.
those Native American Indians, they have a story on this land. It's just not our story. It's just not our story. The same way our story isn't their story. I want to show you something. Check this out. This is their story. And I want you to tell me if you have any family members who ever told you about them trying to take over an abandoned prison in San Francisco, or the longest walk from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. Does this sound like anything your family member, your bloodline ever told you about?
Many of us know about the Civil Rights Movement, which is when Black Americans heroically fought for social justice and equality during the 1950s and 1960s.
Now, hold on, you guys. Now, that's something. Now, just to further prove my point real quick, okay? Listen to how this video starts off. Pay attention. Watch this.
Many of us know about the Civil Rights Movement, which is when Black Americans heroically fought for social justice and equality during the 1950s and 1960s.
Let's stop there. Listen to what the narrator said. Many of us already know about the Civil Rights Movement that went on with so-called Black Americans, right? But then listen what he follows. This furthermore shows you that this was not the same fight. Now listen to what he says. Now we know about the Civil Rights Movement for you Negroes, but then there was also something else.
Unfortunately, the American Indian Civil Rights Movement is often overlooked.
It's often overlooked. Again, these were two separate, different situations. They were not the same fights. Our story happened before the AIM movement was created after King's death. Now let's finish this out. I'm at the end of the video. I'm gonna let it play out, y'all. I just want shout out to Most Hated checking in, Vontae checking in, Big Dog Philly OG checking in, A1 AI Currents. Who did I saw somebody else? I thought I saw somebody else check in. But shout out to y'all checking. Who is this? Lance. Shout out to Lance checking in, man. It's almost done, y'all. We at the end. I just wanted y'all to pay attention to what I've been saying. These were two separate fights. The AIM movement of 1968 was not the same movement of the Indian Civil Rights Act.
To make it simple, the AIM movement was a movement dealing with reservation Indians and how tribal government can treat them. It's two different Indians here, two different groups.
So this was definitely about you in 1968.
So what is it exactly? The American Indian Civil Rights Movement, or the American Indian Movement, AIM, as it's sometimes called, was established in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1968 by a group of activists, namely Dennis Banks, Clyde Belcourt, Eddie Benton Benai, and George Mitchell. It originally aimed to improve conditions for Native Americans who had been urbanized and were living in ghettos after government programs forced them out of their reservations. However, AIM eventually encompassed everything that American Indians were demanding. More specifically, it fought for economic independence, the revitalization of their traditional culture, the protection of their legal rights, autonomy over tribal areas, and the restoration of lands that they had owned but were illegally seized from them. The founding of AIM came nearly a decade after the Indian Relocation Act of 1956 was passed. Also referred to as Public Law 959 and the Adult Vocational Training Program, this legislation encouraged Native Americans to leave their reservations and traditional lands in order to assimilate into urban areas. Thousands of Native Americans did end up migrating to cities and other such urban areas. However, they experienced low-wage labor, substandard housing, discrimination, and violence. The initial activities of AIM were meant to help the Native Americans suffering in urban areas in Minneapolis. For example, they established the AIM Patrol to provide help and support to victims of police abuse. The organization also founded the Indian Health Board, which focused on providing Native-centric healthcare. As the years passed, AIM widened its focus to Native Americans outside of Minneapolis. For instance, it participated in the occupation of Alcatraz Island, which took place November 20th, 1969 to June 11th, 1971. This months-long protest saw 89 Native...
Now, that's what I wanted y'all to see. This started after King's death, y'all. And I think I already played this video earlier, but let me end it off with me, because I think I was explaining. That's what I wanted y'all to see. For people talking about, we was fighting for them. It was all about them. Nigga, we inspired these people in our fight. This was about us. This shit was about us.
Yeah. By the time they arrived in Washington, D.C., the marchers had swelled to more than 30,000. The longest walk hoped to raise awareness for the problems plaguing Native American communities across the United States, such as the lack of job opportunities and inadequate housing. Perhaps its biggest achievement, though, was the signing of the American Indian Religious Freedom Act, which lifted the ban on Native American spiritual ceremonies, which had been outlawed since 1884. Unfortunately, AIM's national leadership disbanded later that year due to infighting, jealousy, and the FBI's alleged efforts to divide them. Fortunately, several local chapters remained active afterward.
I don't resonate with that story. Why? Because that's not my people's story. That's the Native American Indians' story. This is why you don't see the American Indians in their pictures, in their videos of their story. Same reason why you don't see them here in Montgomery, Alabama, or at the signing for the Indian Civil Rights Movement. There were two separate fights going on between two different groups of Indians. You have to know the difference when they're referenced. That's what this docuseries is for. Remember, I said I'm gonna walk you very slow. When people mention Indians, they don't look at people like us because we've been taught that the Indian don't look like us. We've been taught that the Indians look like the Native American Indians, the Indians on the reservations, the Indians with the teepees. We don't come from teepees. I don't know how many of you have ever lived in teepees. I've never seen a teepee in these type neighborhoods where I come from. So I want y'all to start putting the basic dots together. This is what we're doing with this docuseries. Let's find out how many Native Americans you can find in the Montgomery boycott struggle down here. Pull up a video and show me a bunch of Native Americans who was fighting with Rosa Parks and Dr. King. Because those people who were fighting with Rosa Parks and Dr. King and here in Montgomery are the same people who was fighting for Indian civil rights in 1968 also.
All right, you guys, I'm gonna stop it there. That's pretty much the end of the video. This is not, this is not pretty much for my people that's been around. This is for some of the newer people who are attached to me now, who like my sister Break Room. I'm just showing, because when you have people trying to interfere with the learning of people's families and our culture here on the land because they want us to be Africans, you have to kind of put this information out there also, because you got people want to be from Africa telling you that this wasn't about us, it was about some other Indians, okay? But you can't make it make sense, so I had to show people like the newer people who know this was not that, they'll try to incorporate those TP Indians into our story, so we.
And like I said, Callie, don't mean to cut you off, but it's what they don't say. If they're telling you there's reservation Indians, then by default there's non-reservation Indians. Where did they go? The people that never left Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, the Virginia areas, the Carolinas, New York, Philly, the Indians that were assimilated way before they got out west, what happened to their descendants?
Yeah, they right here. Before I go, okay, I want to show you guys one last thing. Just bear with me. I'm done, y'all, because I got to go to sleep myself because I got to go back to work later. But and I ain't been to sleep. I came right in because I wanted to address some of this nonsense from these Wakanda Forevers. All right. I want to play one more video for you guys real quick. This one. I want to play this one for you. Hold on one second. Yeah, this is one. This is one I want to play. It's just 6 minutes. It's 6 minutes long. Now this is what I want you guys to see. All right, let me take this off the screen. It's only 6 minutes, y'all. I want y'all to see about Liberia. Okay, I want y'all to see about the American Colonization Society. When I keep telling y'all they took you over, they took a lot of us over into Africa.
I mean, even when you look up Liberia, you could just type it in Google. And when you look it up and you see the capital is Monrovia, named after President James Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you in the whole story of Liberia that it's an American colony.
Yeah, so you wonder why a lot of those West Africans may look like you. But you know, they don't like to talk about the American Colonization Society. They don't like to talk about into Africa because all they want to talk about is out of Africa. They gotta be the victim. Let me show y'all this real quick. All right, this was one of the promos where my sister Thier kind of went in on this a little bit. 6 minutes. They claim they was taken from West Africa. I don't know how this could be when in 1805, West Africa wasn't even populated. And we skipped all over. They had the American Colonization Society, which was taking indigenous people from America to Liberia. They were taking them to Liberia. So when you hear a person ask the question, a Pan-African ask the question to say, well, how come y'all look more like the West Africans today more than y'all look like the Native Americans? Because we ain't the Native Americans, nigga. That's what we keep trying to tell y'all.
Let me specify before y'all go off. And all I would say is, okay, let's not say we don't know. If I don't know, I would say that you and your phenotype and every single one of the Aboriginals who have come on here look more like the West Africans today, the ones that are over there in Ghana today, than they do of the Native Americans who live on the reservations today.
Because we ain't the Native Americans, nigga. That's what we keep trying to tell y'all. And they took us. We keep telling y'all they took us into Africa, not out of Africa.
See, they penciled us out. We got our asses whooped by pencil. Not physically in person, by pencil on paper. The triangle trade also tells you about North American slaves. Now, if you just said all of us are African, what is a North American slave? That's very distinguishable from an African slave and a North American slave. That's not something you're going to confuse. So in talking about that triangle trade, it leads you to ACS. ACS represents two things: the American Colonization Society and the African Colonization Society that they partnered with because of the Royal African Slavery Company that enslaved and transported more slaves than anybody. So in this story about this triangle trade that involves the transatlantic trade, they took North American slaves out of America and relocated them into places like Nova Scotia and London. If you took and placed North American slaves in West Africa to build up places like Sierra Leone and Liberia, there's a website called blackpast.org that is written and operated about how they brought
Because my screen is out. Okay. All right. Let's go, sis.
took North American slaves out of America and relocated them into places like Nova Scotia and London. If you took and placed North American slaves in West Africa to build up places like Sierra Leone and Liberia, there is a website called blackpast.org that is written and operated by Liberians. One of the passages on there tells you about how they brought North American slaves into West Africa and warred with the indigenous population. Now, when I first heard it and read it, I had to go back because something wasn't.
Now, Bones, you just mentioned about how they're still over there fighting today.
Correct.
You just mentioned that they're still over there fighting today because they're not happy about this. Now, what I want y'all to look at right here is a map of Liberia in West Africa, right? What do you see over there? Map of Liberia. You see Mississippi colony. You see Louisiana colony. You see Maryland colony. What else is over there? Pennsylvania colony. You see New Georgia. What else I see over here? This is all in Liberia, you guys. This is in West Africa. So why is all of these North American names over there in West Africa? Could it be because of the American Colonization Society that was taking Negroes from America over to West Africa? Maybe. I don't know. But let me let this sister finish cooking.
How they brought North American slaves into West Africa and warred with the indigenous population. Now, when I first heard it and read it, I had to go back because something wasn't adding up. So we went from being African slaves to being North American slaves and warring with the indigenous population of West Africa. If you're warring with that indigenous population, you aren't a part of these people. These people aren't you. If they know that you are American, why you don't know you're American? Indian slavery was a real thing. You got the transatlantic slave trade, Indian slave.
Look at that flag right there. That's the Liberian flag over in Africa. That's the Liberian flag in West Africa. It looks a whole lot like an American flag to me. I wonder why, though. I wonder why. Could it be because they was taking Negroes from North America, from America over into West Africa? So when you talk about these so-called Africans from West Africa who came over here to America and kept running away, they kept running away and blending in with the tribes, could it be that those were just people simply coming back home and they was running away because they knew the land? I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe it was some Africans.
You got the transatlantic slave trade, Indian slave trade, and much more going on within that. That's why it's called the triangular trade, because they didn't just trade people, they traded goods. Things taken from here and over there to be processed, wrapped, packaged, and sold from over there at a higher value, whereas it's free here. If you're going to look up the transatlantic, look up the triangle trade. But if you really want to know how people got here, you need to look at the Pacific trade. They brought people in through the Pacific, not just the Atlantic. It's very difficult for people to make it through the Atlantic, even in present day. So if present day, the Atlantic Ocean is flipping over boats, what do you think happened back then? Go read about the triangle trade and then look up slavevoyages.com, because also within that, the steamboat didn't come out to the 1800s. Women could not make that voyage because of sanitation reasons. So the majority of people that were transported were men. So if you're telling me that you have a great-great-great-grandmother that was transported here in the 1600s, something's not right. There is a Mississippi in Africa. Mississippi is an Indian word. What is it doing in Africa? I had an African guy that heard me talking about that, thought I was wrong. So what I told him to do, if you want to prove me wrong, I would admit that I'm wrong if you can prove it. They've never done genealogy in Africa. That's not a thing. It's word of mouth. It's their oral story is what they do. Just like Indians, they tell orally what happened. So I encouraged him to look up his genealogy. Young man pulled his paperwork and realized that his grandmother was only there by way of ACS. He's American. He was like, well, it makes sense now when you...
What is ACS? What is that? He found out his grandmother was only in Africa by way of ACS. What was ACS? American Colonization Society, where they were taking Negroes from America over to Africa.
And that's why I always said a lot of these people with these regurgitated talking points don't do real research, because all you have to do is just look up Liberia and it tells you how it came about.
So you wonder why a lot of those West Coast Africans kind of favor you. It might be because they are you. But they don't like to talk about the American Colonization Society. They don't like to talk about being taken over into Africa.
Orally, what happened? So I encouraged him to look up his genealogy. Young man pulled his paperwork and realized that his grandmother was only there by way of ACS. He's American. He was like, well, it makes sense now. When he was mentioning Mississippi, he went and found Mississippi in Africa. He visited it. He said it's the style of the homes. I said they're called antebellum style homes that comes from to the south of the United States.
Mic check 1 2.
Made of yellow corn flour.
And everything went out.
Mississippi in Africa is a real thing. That is an Indian word. So what is it doing in Africa? The man described the hush puppy and didn't know what it was. He had been eating it his whole life. Mississippi in Africa is a real thing. That is an Indian.
Now let me stop that right there, right? Because anywhere people go, they're gonna take their food with them. You see what I'm saying? That's part of their culture. They're gonna take their food with them. They're gonna take their the way they dance, the way they dress, the way they talk. They're gonna take it with them. So y'all talk this, we was the first Africans here on the land. Well, why did y'all get rid of all your African culture? Why did y'all get rid of all the African food y'all eat? Everything. Why did y'all get rid of it when y'all came over here to America? What happened? Why didn't you bring your culture with you? You came over here and you're eating a whole new style of food over here.
But it also shows, like I say again, a lot of these people don't research. They don't understand why you can be easily connected to West Africa, because they don't know that the people were from here.
Right. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this video up.
He said, and we used to eat these things that were rolled up. They were made of yellow corn flour. I mean, the man described the hush puppy and didn't know what it was. He had been eating it his whole life. Mississippi in Africa is a real thing. That is an Indian word. So what is it doing in Africa? Are you saying those are Indians? Because where we go is where we take our stuff to. This baby over here eating a hush puppy and don't know what it is. So some of y'all Africans aren't Africans. Y'all are displaced Indians.
So, I just wanted to play that for the people who never want to talk about the American Colonization Society. They just want you to know about, we was stolen from Africa. We was taken from West Africa. And we was brought over here as slaves. And you know why I don't feel bad about making fun of that shit? It's simply because even the Africans over there are making fun of you niggas. You are Buddhas or whatever they call you niggas. They don't even have a sympathy. They don't even care about your slavery story. The people who ass y'all kissing over there on that land, they don't even care about your fucking slavery story. You niggas care about that shit. Y'all do. They don't even accept y'all. They don't look at y'all. Y'all are foreigners when y'all come over there. That's why y'all so upset at us. Because we know who we are on the land. We know what our fight is on the land. We can even hit our next of kin on the fucking land. Who's your next of kin over in Africa? Yeah. See, that shit hurts. So with that being said, y'all, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let Bones, you got the last word, brother.
But like basically, like we always said, do your research, get into your genealogy, talk to your family, learn your story, find your place in the story, so you know who you are, so no one can never tell you who you are not.
Yeah, and you get people, try to lie and try to say, basically when I say you've been lied to, they try to say, oh, he said everybody was lied to. If the shoe fit, fucking wear it. It's what I'm fucking saying. What we've been saying. Do your genealogy. You just may come from Africa, my nigga. But don't you want to know where from? Don't you want to know who you're connected to? I know people. That sister that was up on the screen, she knows her roots from Africa. And she's on the docuseries. She knows how her grandmother got over here from Africa. And she didn't come as a slave. She came over here to work.
And that's also the thing. We are not saying that Africans did not come to the Americas. All we're saying is that everyone with dark skin in America is not a descendant of an African slave.
Facts. So that's all we saying, y'all. With that being said, y'all, Bones, I appreciate you. I'm about to take my ass to sleep. Give me some rest real quick before I head back to the job spot, man. But I just, this is mainly I felt it important enough that, because I know old girl over there on her channel, she talking shit about us, y'all. Like, woo. But as you saw yesterday, like, she was just basically in her emotions. Just basically in her emotions, man. And it's too much shit out here that connects us to this land more than she can't even tell you who she is. She can't tell you where she come from over there. I mean, she might can tell. She say her genealogy leads her back to her whatchamacallit. But what I would definitely like to know from her is, even here on the land, you say you're a descendant from a slave here on this land. What plantation did you come from? What plantation was it? Who was it? Who was you bowing down to over here on the land? Who was your people bowing down to over here? Where did it? What was the slave master's name of your slave that you come from?
If you know that you're a descendant of a slave, then you know who your gripe is with, and you know who you should take your anger to. Not with people that's trying to find out their place in the story, with the people that damage your family and your story.
That's right. Yeah, you know, if you know you actually come from this slave, hey man, take your fight to go get your reparations. They'll take your fight, but you better hope your people ain't own no slaves. You better hope that. But if that's your fight on this land, is you're a descendant of a slave, go prove that shit. Set the example for the other people to go find out who they come from as slaves on this land so they can fight for their fight. But your fight ain't my fight. Your fight ain't my fight. And it's just sad. It's just sad that even the people over there, yeah, that was just one clip. But you can find multiple clips all on this World Wide Web, but them Africans don't care nothing about y'all slave story.
But what they always tell us, if you don't know where you come from, you will never get to where you're going. In order for all of us to work together, we must know who we are as an individual, who we come from. Because if not, we're just coming together as damaged goods and all confused and lost. So if we all do our part and we know who we are, where we come from, what's our tribal responsibilities, it makes it easier for us to work together. But if none of us know who we come from, we all sharing the same regurgitated story, we're going to continue to be lost.
And it's crazy because it be us. It be us fighting against us. Man, like, it just be crazy because when other people know who the fuck you are, but it be your own fucking, these niggas, man, like trying to tell you who you not. And the fact they can't tell you who they are on their land, where they say they come from, but want to tell you who you ain't. Like, I just can't respect that shit. I just can't respect that shit. You know, with that being said, y'all, I'm about to end this live, and I think in the morning I'm gonna check back in because I'm gonna play the video on culture. Since they say we're stealing these people's culture, I think tomorrow when I get off, we're gonna look into how we stealing these people's so-called culture. Because we asked old girl last night, well, what is their culture? And she mentioned some shit about corn. She said some shit about corn. Y'all niggas is eating, y'all niggas talking about some corn. I said, corn? Like, come on, man. Come on, man. So with that being said, man, let's do better, man. This is for my people who are doing their digging into their family. Don't be discouraged. And just keep going. I'm proud of all y'all, man. Real shit.
DT the kid. Pray God not watching me. Arm to the T, suppressor on the carbon 15. Still not in the rapper conversations. I promise it don't bother me the least. Long as it ain't stopping me from eating. I've been chasing bread since a fetus. I was taught my Miranda rights before I learned the Pledge of Allegiance. Never flying Spirit or Allegiant unless I got my parachute pad. Fortunate I made it out the gutter. I promise I would never move back. All these bitches I might need a nap. All these bitches I might lose track. Ladies love me, I'm a cool cat. We just kick it, I'm a shoe rack. Pockets crippin' all these blue bags, but metaphorically I'm seeing green. Clientele tapping on the window and me and Piff was serving through the screen. Missing Piff, I hoped it was a dream. I woke up, you're still gone. They say time heals all. They never told me how long. Papa never popped up, mama had to raise me all on her own. Papa nothing but a coward, mama ain't made me all on her own. All that ever made me was more strong. Well, maybe just a little bitter. I done grown numb to it, no feelings. Guess we grow from it if it don't kill us. Raised by pimps, prostitutes, and killers, what can I say? I think drug dealing might as well been my family trade. I ain't have no maid when it got paid, now I got it made. Tomorrow's still not promised, all a nigga can do is pray that God's not watching you. If he was, he'd be ashamed. You nothing but a disappointment, damn homie, you ain't nothing like you claim. You ain't no big homie, you been getting extorted, paying niggas off so they don't pick on you. You ain't causing havoc, you ain't about the action, you ain't got the stick on you. You and I are not the same, and take some pocket change out and put a hit on you. Sega 12 with the switch, fat ass shells looking like rigatoni. Life's a bitch and she sucks. I just tell it how it is, call it real spill, maybe I'm a klutz. I got all these babies yet, I ain't never gave 2 fucks. Call it hard work, call it dedication, never call it luck. I grew up without a maid, when it got paid, now I got it made. Tomorrow never was promised, all a nigga can do is pray that God's not watching us. Nas kick the door, you know how it go, now we all fucked. Niggas stop the toilet up with the pounds, now it won't flush. We gon' all get taxed, cause you know scared niggas don't hush. Oh, what a nightmare, thank God I finally woke up. With somebody lady, now she talking crazy, told me keep in touch. With somebody lady, and I thought I loved her till I bust a nut. Then I snapped back 5950, back to my senses, back to my mission, back to my business. She can't be my missus, I'ma kill that pussy, she a living witness. She gon' swear she miss me, but I know she can't. Hold my heart frozen, I can't even feel it. Here's a cold shoulder, bitches getting chilly. Stacking my pennies, trying not to spend it, just to bring Scooby snacks to my kiddies. All my people eat, only way we living, we ain't got to worry. I know how to get it, call me Chef Carrot, I'ma keep the trays coming in my kitchen. Thank the chef in kitchen, put up double digits. You just busted dishes, those my only wishes. We don't waste a smidget, sipping on success, bad for my kidneys, so I gotta pass it like a Mike Bibby. On to my brother, then to my brother, then to my sister. Hope you get the picture, long live pills.
DT the kid.
Y'all better get ready to rumble. Got to run like a double. Spicy like spice on the bone.
Free my niggas voted. You know this shit too crazy. Hey, tell me. Fucking damn fool.
Niggas try me, catch 50 first. Chopper so big, nigga hit reverse. I'ma draw down on you and your partner so perfect, you gon' think this shit rehearsed. I can spit the verse, but can't handle the repercussions. AK clips are Russian, blood is Russian. Cold ass Swiss account, so you know my coats are Tuscan. Candy rough skin, nigga on my belt. Black kush weed, nigga put it in the L. Black meat cover up the living room chair. Chinchilla cover up my bitches over there. West side, I can make a killing over there. East side, I can't pimp without Slim. Sporty on deck, can't kill him without him. 3 crazy, front pocket on bill.
Kicking my shit, jet coolin', bout to smoke another O. Kicking my feet up, young nigga Cheeto, probably rollin' with your hoe. Now all these folk got something to say about where I be and where I go. I heard nigga was looking for me, pussy nigga, here I go. Here I go.
Once again,
Probably with your bitch, big butt, can't fit up in the 6. On a whole buck, get you 2 purple zips. On a whole band, made the AP glitch. She don't wanna fuck me, she wanna fuck my wrist. Tell her like Young Joe, fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. Bought a 357, went back to the neighborhood, but that bitch.
You nigga better go on with the buster shit. I sent 50 then empty out another clip. I'm west side, ride my hoop still. On the phone, seeing what my little cousin is.
I'm on the south side right now. Ain't nothing in the whip but some dope and some tools.
Hey my nigga, we so deep, so no, even if it ain't on me, I'm strapped like a fool.
I know nigga that could work, bitch. Ride with bricks like it's no risk. Buddy, yeah, he caught 2 bands on some motherfucking 4.
So these niggas say they G, this a pussy to me. 10 years in the game, still a rookie to me. You don't like what I'm saying, him is in your face right now, nigga, you ain't gotta look for me.
I'm kicking my shit, jet coolin', bout to smoke another O. Kicking my feet up, young nigga Cheeto, probably rollin' with your hoe. Now all these folk got got something to say about where I be and where I go. I heard nigga was looking for me, pussy nigga, here I go.
I'm made for this. Steak and lobster, my table's dish. Been kicking this flavor shit. No Lacoste, but this gator, bitch. Watch out, ho. Tro is my brother from another mother. We made the clip. And me and Slim from Decatur trick. Fuck with us, get your tater split. I spit rhymes like I'm 6'9" in my cadences. Lean pricks trying to depict lines. Click trying to portray this shit. Bitch, I'm big time, don't play with this. I got 6 9s when I click mine, your whole click dying. Arcade it. We the 300, nigga. If you want the hoe, you better come and get her. It's pimpin' here, I ain't no babysitter. I got 30 shoes with gator in them. Pussy ass nigga so lame, go I bad for the limelight. Fuck what you heard, that chopper get a motherfucker mind right.
I was kicking my shit, just coolin', bout to smoke another O. Kicking my feet up, young nigga cheat up, probably rollin' with your hoe. Now all these folk got something to say about where I be and where I go. I heard nigga was looking for me, pussy nigga, here I go.
Still be swinging on the tractor like a lumberjack. I'm doper than a drum full of crack. I get it poppin' like a lightning bolt. Yeah, motherfucker, I got my thunder back. My looks made your sister wanna ride the dick. My beats made your brother wanna bow to rap. My smoke song made the daddy wanna roll a blunt. And mama holler, ain't nobody got time for that. Turn from a human to a wolf on a song. Bitch, I rip these shows. You can ask these hoes. They be standing in the front row screaming, we want more. I was at it for an hour. She couldn't catch a breath, but still she want more. After the show, I handle my motherfucking pen and me, I say more. Thier sent me a song. He said, OG, murk that bitch. He said it real familiar and it was real familiar. So I lit up that, heard that bitch. Give a fuck, that was up. Give a shit, suck my dick. Give a damn. Here I am. You looking for me?